Don't tell me what to make. I don't care about your take. It's my channel, and I do what I want. Wah!
Now we're live.
We're live.
We're live.
Oh my gosh! You know how I knew that we weren't live just yet, and then we were live is because my beard hair will begin to tingle. It's like a spidey sense.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. We were just for everybody who's watching. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Hobby Vomit. My name is Ian, and this is.
I'm Matt. Hello.
And so before, while the music's playing, we were talking about. Or actually, before that, we were talking about. I'm gonna go see Brand New Date tomorrow, which I'm very excited about.
Mhm.
And then I'll be able to let Matt know whether or not I think you should go see it. So
I
it'll
do
be,
plan.
it'll be
Yeah, I'm
fun.
planning on seeing
Yeah.
it once the theaters calm down a little bit because
Yeah,
they're
see,
sold
this-
out. I mean, it's crazy.
This is the trick. See, like even though I live in Tulsa, which is like the second largest city in one of the smallest states, I don't know we're probably not the smallest state, but like Oklahoma, I've mentioned this to people from the East Coast because I've been to the East Coast several times. Like people in the East Coast like don't realize when I'm out, like when people from the Midwest come out there, like their cities have more people than our state
Yeah.
in an area that is smaller than my hometown.
Yeah.
Like Tulsa metropolitan is like the full metropolitan area is like bigger than New York City.
Yeah.
But New York City has like 5 times as many people as the entire state of Oklahoma. But I was just saying, like one of the benefits of like I booked the tickets with my buddy and I, and there was like in the whole theater like 5 other seats that were taken.
That's crazy. That's usually how it is
Yeah.
here in College Station because it's like
Yep.
it's not
Yep.
not moving weekend yet. Summer,
Mhm.
it's dead.
Yep.
Except for big movies. Big movies, people still show up.
Bridget and I went to go. We bought tickets to go to the Odyssey. We were one of 5. We were 2 of 5 people that went to the Odyssey in that theater.
Dang.
Yep.
We did
We
the
were-
IMAX, so it was
Yep.
every seat was full. But
Mhm.
that was like the one time I was like, I'll make the exception. Like I want to see it in IMAX. It wasn't the
Really?
full
That's
70
what we did.
millimeter. Oh really?
We
It was like a
did-
full
yeah.
IMAX screen.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing for Brand New
Dang.
Day too.
That's
just-
crazy.
It's just the day you go. Like if you go on Friday night, you go on Saturday night. I'm sure they're probably packed.
yeah.
We always go like in the middle of the week.
Mhm.
Like we'll go like on a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. But yeah, it's just that's just kind of how it is here. I feel like it's
Yeah,
probably
that's
a lot
nice.
more to do with like date night is like Friday night, right? Like that's when people get babysitters, right? So
That's nice though.
but I'm excited. We lounge out, we spread. you
Yeah,
know?
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. So hopefully I'll be seeing it
Yeah.
at the very least next week. But I'm gonna
Mhm.
try and see it this week. We'll see.
Yep.
We're just
And
gonna
then
monitor the,
maybe in 3
theaters.
years, you and I we can book tickets to go to the viewing of Malazan. You know when they finally get Hollywood gets their stuff straight and they
Dude,
finally
can you
book
imagine? It
a
would
movie
be
deal.
it would be such a mess.
Yeah.
It'd be such a mess. I was just talking to Jonesy. They're making, I guess the team that made, the League of Legends show. What was that called again? Arcane.
Arcane. Mhm.
They're making a Wheel of
super
Time
good.
show.
Are they going to do it animated?
I believe so.
Is it the same studio?
I think it's the same studio.
It's going to be sick.
Yeah, which is really cool. Hopefully they'll
Yeah.
actually stick to the books more. But I'm like,
Mm.
honestly, I feel like if there was a way for Malazan to work, it would have to be animated. It would
Mm.
have to be, I think. And it would just have to. I think the problem with TV these days, which not to push off the books further, is they don't trust. Like I'm reading Wheel of Time right now. I'm about 200 pages in, and like it's a slow. I never watched the show, but it's a slow start, like very slow. But I feel like it's great. I'm enjoying the slowness. It's got really good character work, and I think shows are afraid to do that. They're saying we have to hook people episode 1, period. That is it. We have to have something incredible episode 1. Otherwise, they will stop watching, which honestly is true. I think it's the audience's fault, too. It's like a lot of people will say, oh, the pilot wasn't great. I'm not going to watch the rest. And so they're forced to do that. But with a fan base like Malazan or more so Wheel of Time, it's a much bigger fan base, I imagine. It's like you're going to have people watching it because they love the series, unless you screw it up, which they did. So I don't know. I'm interested. It's good timing with me starting the series. I'll be interested to see how it is.
I mean, that definitely makes me a lot more interested to read the books than like the show on Prime.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that was actually like, I mean, I know like League of Legends, specifically Riot Games, they've had a lot of controversy over the years, and like they're not really in the spotlight right now, but they were like when Arcane was airing on Netflix, like there was like a 3-year period, which was like a kind of a golden period for them amidst everything. And they actually, like, that first year that they did Arcane, they actually reported significantly lower profits that year than they were expected. And one of the big reasons was because they didn't hire the studio to produce Arcane. They invested in the studio. They took like a controlling share in that studio. And then people were like, "Do you think that was a bad choice?" And they're like,
No.
have you seen the studio? Like,
Yeah.
they're like, have you seen their like animation style? Like, have you seen the team? They're like at that studio. Like, we are not concerned about this at all.
Yeah.
And I thought I was like, that's awesome. Like, they were willing to take that bet on this like studio that produced this, and it's obviously going to pay off. But like that studio, it, like, regardless how you feel about Arcane, I think it was a great show. But that the studio has a really cool animation style, and like
great.
they did a really good job with their writing. So, I'm I mean, so if that same like studio is behind any project, I'll just be like, yeah, I'll watch it.
The nice part about Wheel of Time too, is if they just all I gotta do is stick to the books.
Yeah.
Like, you got the script right there. You know, you gotta have someone come in and adapt it. But like, it's just, is it so hard? Is it so hard? Like, I know an adaptation, it's like it's trying to do something a little bit different, but that's not what you're making a show about a beloved series. I think that's why Harry Potter works so well. Like with the movies, like they're pretty good adaptations. Like they stick to the book for the most part, and the parts they don't, everyone's like, why? It's like every time I see something that's adapted, the new Del Toro Frankenstein. It's just like, dude, you missed the whole point of the book. You missed the whole point of the book. What are we doing? Like, I don't know. It's just frustrating. But anyways, this was our pilot episode. That people stop watching. Yeah. They're like, I'm not going to watch the rest of the video because we're 7 minutes in. We haven't talked about Malazan yet. But yeah,
that was our tangent. We just had to get one out. There's been a lot of cool stuff going
Maybe
on.
I'll put a timestamp or not. I don't have to do actual timestamps, but I'll type in the description. Go to this time if you want to actually start the Malazan discussion.
Yeah.
But let's start the Malazan discussion.
So thank you again, everybody, for letting us get our tangents out and for sharing in that time with us. I hope that you guys are also enjoying your movie escapades. So this is it. We are doing the last book of Midnight Tides, which is crazy. We are done with Midnight Tides.
We're done with half of the series. We're halfway
That's
done.
also crazy, not counting like other novellas and like
just the 10
stuff and
the big 10
with the 10 main ones, big 10. We're halfway done. That's crazy.
Done. It is crazy,
actually. And like the sheer amount of like words and pages that we are now done with is also crazy.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do, because we're doing things a little bit differently. Normally we would do 4 episodes, and then we would sometimes do like a barf review afterwards, and then we would even sometimes do like a final review. How does this fit in the series? And that was always kind of like a gap video between books. So we're trying to kind of condense the number of videos down that we're doing, because we do spend a lot of time on these videos. When we're in the actual videos, they're like a lot of them are like 2.5 hours. And so doing 5 videos per book, it just adds a lot, right? We're spending almost as much time, doing these videos together as we are reading.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to try to do with this one is just go ahead and start off by talking about what we thought of it, our barf review. We'll keep things a little like spoiler free, spoiler light. What do you think? Spoiler free? You think we can do that?
Yeah, I think this will be pretty short, so we'll keep it spoiler free. Give our scores, general thoughts, very quick, like maybe 5 minutes.
Yep. And then we'll jump into
30
talking
minutes
about
will go by like
and then we'll jump into spoilers. We'll time out what happened in book 4, what we thought about it. We can reflect back on those scores, and then end it by just talking about last and final impressions and kind of what we're excited for the next one.
Yep.
So, which is I will say, I was talking about this with my wife, but we went back in time with this book, right? We went back before even started book 1, so there's not like an obvious next step. I would say, for like a book 6. So I really don't know what to
I
expect
don't
for book
know
6, but
either.
we'll talk about that more when we get
Yeah.
to it.
I did want to say too on the front end. I know that on the channel we're starting to post some more board game stuff, movie stuff. So if you're only here for Malazan, I will always post these videos on Saturdays, and that's all I'll post on Saturdays. No, I think. So if all you care about is Malazan, you can just. I totally get it's probably super annoying to. It's not worth being like notified about things. So just if we post a video on Saturday, it's Malazan. So that's all you need to check the channel for. So yeah, I did want to say that because I think that's obviously the downside of doing a hobby channel is people don't want to see all of it, and I totally get that. So Saturdays are Malazan days until we're done with Malazan.
Yep. And I guess on the same note, since this is the final piece of Midnight Tides, we usually do take a break in between books. So, it'll probably be a few weeks before, after the posting of this video, it'll probably be a few weeks before you hear from us again. But once we get started with the next book, and we have kind of a rough date for when we think the first video post, we'll let you know.
Yep. Sweet. Let's do it.
You want to kick it off? You want me to kick it off?
You kick it off.
Okay. You want to just do final score? Or you want to break it down BARF?
It's up to you. I'm okay with either. Whatever you're feeling.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just start off with the final score then. That way maybe we can keep it a little bit shorter, a little bit sweeter. So I would say this is tough. Like we talked about this a little bit last time about where this ranks in terms of Malazan books, and I think you had mentioned there's a lot of people who think this might be one of their favorites. I will say like this is heavily influenced by the part 4, but I do not think that this is one of my favorites as far as the series, and I actually think it's on the lower end of the totem pole in terms of the books in the series as a whole. Now I still think objectively it was great. For me, my final score landed around a 4.2, which I think is kind of on the lower end of what I've rated. I think that's roughly close to where I rated like Gardens of the Moon. So again, I still have not read a Malazan book yet where I'm like, this is a 3.5 or a 3.8. Like on, I think all of them have been phenomenal. I would reread all of them, including this one. And I think the biggest thing as I heard the score for me was, our BARF. We talked about B for believable, and then A for the authorial voice and overall goals, and then R for rhythm, and then F for feeling, or what it left you with. And I think the problem for me was really in that first one with believable. I felt like some of the characters really fell off for me, and they just didn't feel like they fit in. And that kind of hurt. There's still the characters I loved and like really wanted to learn more about. And so it wasn't like it was bad across, but there was just some characters that didn't really vibe with me very well, and I didn't really like how they were developing, and I just didn't feel like it fit, or maybe the thing that helped them fit just came too late. And then the last one was the in A with the authorial voice. Like his prose is phenomenal, but I do feel like, and maybe this has happened and I just missed it, but I felt like in this story, more plot lines were dropped than they have been in other stories. Now that could be because things to come, right? But it felt like they were dropped more so than leaving a cliffhanger for what's going to come in the future. And so, and we'll get to talk more about that. But I did feel like some things fell through the cracks. And so that kind of hurt my scores in terms of, do I believe the author achieved what they had set out to achieve? And I don't really know that that's the case with this one, as much as it has been with some of the other ones. So yeah.
Okay. Well, here's the flip. This is like a 6 out of 5 from me. This is my favorite Malazan book. This is actually, I would say, the best fantasy book I've ever read. Overall, I hear what you're saying as far as some of the characters, but to me, I think that's consistent throughout all of the books. I don't think it's any different here. I do think the characters are a little more gray here. I feel like most of our characters feel conflicted, but I found like that was intentional. They were all struggling with something, and I think that heightened it for me almost. And then authorial voice, I don't know. I'm curious to hear what plot points you. I would say that has also been really consistent. Buke, or Baruch, or whatever the fuck his name is. The bird.
Buke, yeah.
Talking about plot points falling off. My goodness. But I'm curious. Yeah, maybe I'm just like misremembering, but to me, I thought all of the plot points got, um, for the most part, a lot. I found like there was more closure in this book than any of the other books. I would say like this is just the most well-rounded book, and maybe that's because it's a prequel, to where I think there is an end point that we need to reach, and we reached it. And so a lot of the stuff in this book, right, when we look at Malazan going forward, there's just not enough room for everybody in this book to continue on. And for, I would say, most, like, there's just not enough room. We already have so many open threads. It's like there's only 5 books left, which is crazy. You'd think they'd be like, there's 5 whole books left. No, there's only 5 books left. Like,
yeah, you got to change your thinking a little bit there.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, like, I thought the pace was the most consistent throughout, compared to any of the other books. And this was the first. I thought the emotional impact of this was higher than any of the other books for me. Honestly, I think on paper there are moments in, like, we talk about. So I guess spoilers for previous books. I don't know why I'd be watching this book, this spoiler-free part, after our 7-minute tangent about Brand New Day. But if you're still here, spoilers, I guess, for previous books. Like, Itkovian on paper does have a lot of emotional impact, and it's a really impactful scene that is memorable to me. But there are scenes in this book that actually, like, invoke emotion out of me. Like, there's multiple crying moments for me in this book. Hasn't happened yet in Malazan until this book. So the fact that it can make me do that, I think just raises it up for me, because I think that's hard to do. So yeah, overall, I think it's the most well-rounded. I do think it's the most self-contained as well. And at this point, now that we're done, I think you could read this first. I'm dying on the hill. Dying on the hill. Like, are there plot points that maybe by the end of the book, like, in theory, if you plan on reading the whole series, maybe it doesn't make sense, because some of these plot lines probably you won't catch up with these people for a lot of time, it seems, because we haven't even, in theory, caught up with them yet. So you'd be jumping to gardens where it's just like, okay, well, now you're not going to see these characters again for a while. And there's a couple little things that you're like, I don't know if I understand really who they are, what they are. But dude, look at Gardens of the Moon. It's like there's tons of that. So do I suggest that's what you should do? No, probably not. Could you do it? I think you could. And I also think you could read it as a standalone. With questions, right? You're not going to get closure for everything. You just aren't. But overall, the plot of this book, I think you could read and be satisfied with it being a story. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I want to die on that hill. To where I am strongly considering it with Bree. I was already thinking it, but I was like, well, let me see how it ends and, like, go from there. But, like, to me, like, just with knowing Bree, I'm like, I think if we, close the back cover, that we close the final page, I think she'd be like, I wanna know more. I want to go into Malazan more. Obviously I would set it up with, hey, here's this book. When it's finished, we're not going to just, if we go to Gardens, we're not going to pick back up with these characters. But it'll give you a taste of the writing style. I just think it's got more of a hook as far as consistent writing style, better character work than I just think this is better than Gardens of the Moon in literally every way, and doesn't require, like, Dead House kind of requires a little bit of Gardens knowledge. And then obviously Memories of Ice just continues from there. House of Chains continues from there. So you couldn't really do it otherwise. But here, it's a prequel. You could, you don't need prior knowledge, because that knowledge hasn't happened yet, in theory. So I don't know. I really love the book. It could be recency bias for sure. It would be fun to maybe re-rank them all when we're done. But yeah, I don't know. Not that I felt fatigue in some of the other books, but I felt less confusion in this book than any of the other books. Not that there's none. There definitely is some. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, well, now, and I was like, I mentioned this to my wife as well, because when we're, I'll sometimes, like, bounce ideas off of her, and she'll do the same, even though she has not read it. But I will say that one of the things that does likely hurt my own review of it is the last two books we just read
Mm-hmm.
were concluding a lot of things that have been built up over multiple books, right? So like you're coming off of like Memories of Ice, you're coming off of House of Chains, which both had books before them that led into them. So we're getting these big payoffs
Yeah.
in those two books, and then all of a sudden we're going to this one and then launching back in time. And so there is, I would say, a way in which that can hurt the overall impression of the book because you kind of have to change your expectations. This is not, setting up. This is not a payoff for something that's already been set up. It's setting up other things instead.
Yeah. But I do
But,
think there is still payoff in this book for what this. I think that's kind of what I mean in the sense of like it's the most complete book. I think there is a lot of payoff in this book for what is set up in this book. Where like House of Chains, I think there's a lot of payoff what's been set up in previous books. And
Yes, exactly.
so yeah, I don't know. The way I kind of view Malazan at this point, after House of Chains, or basically after part 1 of this, I was just like, whatever. I'm just gonna have no expectations when I read because I don't know where he's gonna. It's almost like it truly is just like a history course in Malazan. It's just like this month we're gonna be studying what happened before this event, and I was like, all right, and yeah, I don't know. I would say like kind of like the high that I had when reading part 1 of House of Chains, of like this is different. This isn't connected to anything, but I love it. But then we hit that brick wall with part 2 of House of Chains of like, now we're back in current time and we're slowing things way down so you can get situated again with all the armies and people. And I really felt like that whiplash where here we just got to kept going. We just got to keep. It's kind of like how I wanted all of House of Chains, not by the end, but like I was like, man, I could have just done a whole book of House of Karsa. And that's basically what we were just given here. It's like if we had that really strong part 1, because I was like hooked once I was like, we learned about the Eador and the Lethra and the ceiling, and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. And then we just got to live with that. And I did really enjoy that, where I think that, yeah, I'm really curious about the plot points you think didn't make it through. Because when I think back to like Memories of Ice with like the table and things like that are just like sprinkled in, I would say, like barely.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference. It's like it's hard. It's definitely very subjective. Like whenever plot points are unresolved at the end of a book, you definitely have to make that judgment call of like, was it intended to be resolved in this book, or is it setting up for a future event? Like there are a lot of unresolved plot points in both House of Chains and Memories of Ice, but there are many of them where it feels like this is set up for the next, right? Because like these are meant to be part of a longer series, so we should have an expectation that books are building for larger payoffs.
I agree.
It's harder to know how to gauge that in a prequel like this, right?
Yeah.
Where theoretically we've already like been in the time period where these would have paid off, but those books are already written.
Yeah.
It is harder to gauge like where like what things are being set up for the future. But there were just a few things where it felt like it was intended to be resolved in this book. And like it wasn't really like adequately resolved, or wasn't really resolved at all. So
well, let's just get
I could be
spoilers,
completely off.
and then we can talk about that because we've set our scores. We hit the 5-minute cap. Let's do it. We're 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
Let's talk about specifics. So spoilers for all of Midnight Tides. Hit it.
There we go.
What do you think?
What do I think? So, well, first of all, I think the reason why we do long tangents is because we want people to know that just always go to the 30-minute mark. There you go. That's
right. Go to the 30-minute mark, and we'll probably be started by then.
Yeah. So I'll just start with like the one that stood out. There was a few that stood out pretty significantly to me. I'll start out with the one that stood out the most significantly, which was T-Hole. For me, while we do know why T-Hole's ultimate like quest, if we'll call it that, came to its conclusion, it felt disproportionate. Meaning that basically all of the time we've spent with T-Hole in his adventure centers around this commission that he has with the 3 women in order to bring the Lethery to this economic collapse, which should change society. It became very clear that wasn't ultimately going to be their objective because of this impending war. And then his whole line basically ends with, him getting trampled by the Tista Eador, saved by Bug, which was a cool revelation. Didn't expect him to be a god, an elder god. That was really awesome. Loved how that gets introduced.
Yep.
Just so good, and like it just makes the relationship all the better too, because Bug, like, literally, there's like no reason for them to be like friends, but they're just like kindred spirits in a way.
Yep.
And it's just super cool for that reason, and it really explains Bug super well. So like when you look back, you're like, okay, literally all of this makes sense, like given this character. And it's so cool. But yeah, so I mean, he gets basically crushed. He gets healed by Bug. He gets imbued with this memory, since it can no longer be with Briss. The memories, rather, even though he's not necessarily conscious of them. And we also find out that Bug has actually caused Teal to forget many times in the past about the fact that Bug is a god, but this time he did not, which is a really fascinating decision, because it kind of left you with a little bit of cliffhanger, like made you think that that's what's going to happen.
It definitely makes you think, like, it's like, and then you made him forget. I was like, oh man, like, I love that moment at the end. That was one of those emotional moments where I was like, dang, friendship. And yeah, sorry, go ahead and finish, and then I'll.
But as far as I know, the three ladies, if we can call them that, they go back to the islands. Or otherwise, I don't know how that particular element of it was resolved. That was my understanding from the reading, was that basically they go back. But overall, that essentially leaves us with the fact that all of T-Hole's machinations, all of his schemes, all of his doings, right, in order to sort of engineer a financial situation in Letherus, effectively is all in limbo. It's all effectively gone away. None of it will amount to anything. It has no bearing now in the new Letherus. We don't even know like what the state of the finances will be in Letherus. But it's effectively like all for naught. Like it's just all gone. We've just sort of left it on the table and haven't addressed. We haven't used that element at all. And I think that was kind of the biggest thing for me, is even if we have the recognition that we can't do this. And now I know that in the last book, like him and Bug specifically even address that fact that like they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But for me, it felt like a misuse of Chekhov's gun in a way, where it's just like there was a lot of buildup and engineering. Even though we didn't get all the specifics, I will say like it could have been way more over-engineered in the story than it was. It effectively put this element in front that then isn't used in any capacity. Like there's no financial gain. There's no, and the same thing with the Ratcatchers Guild, right? Like that relationship, like for example, the fact that he like hired them as bodyguards doesn't come up. Or the whole thing with like Ricket, I think was the name, Ricket, right?
Or Rucket.
Doesn't really amount to much. There was like a conversation with them. And so there's a lot of these like little turnings that we're seeing, but then we're not using them for anything. I would have been fine with using it for something unexpected or something different. But really the only element that we get out of it is the fact that they were able to move a lot of the like immigrants and non-Lethari people out of Letherus. So they're not going to be ravaged by the Tista Eater. But for me, that was about the culmination of it, is what it felt like.
Yeah. I would say, I think there's a little bit more. Obviously Bug working on the Eternal Palace is what leads to the god being trapped. I think that's huge. I mean, that's monumental to the Warlock King's like demise, if you will. To me, though, I do agree where it's just like, well, here's what I'll say. One, I think that's fairly realistic in war. This was a war that they, at first, were just like, we're going to win. So we're just going to focus on the economic collapse because we're winning this war. It's nothing. Where in reality, we know maybe that's not necessarily the case. And so from Teal's perspective as a character, I kind of feel like it was a believable path to be chosen, where I think he's now there. They're going to continue the plan. But at the end of the day, what mattered for me with T-Hole by the end was his relationship with Bug. I think that's what drove that storyline for me. I never really cared too much about the economic collapse because I feel like we were shown the writing on the wall, that everything was building up to this war in Lether. And from basically everything we heard, it's like, we know Rulad's not going to lose here. We know he's in future books. So I just didn't expect Lethris to survive to where the economic collapse was really necessary. But it also triggers like Garen Ebrick. He arrives home and he realizes everything's been stolen. That sets him off on his little rampage. So I think there are little sprinkle effects. I think the Ratcatcher's Guild is probably one of the ones where it's like, but to me, not any more like abhorrent than like Corbel Brooch being there. Like they're there and like and maybe it's I think kind of got not spoiled for us, but revealed to us like they're not in any of the other books. So it's just like I don't really feel like a ton of closure with them. They were just like traveling. Now they're in the city. Cool. Where the Ratcatchers Guild, at least they were like really minor characters, and they like were kind of revealing to us now that we know who Bug is. They were keen to it. They were like, who's the more dangerous, Teal or Bug? Something's up with this Bug guy. But yeah, I think to me at the end of the day, I just loved Bug and Teal's relationship.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I really feel like the end of that was so great for me that it became one of my favorite storylines because of that. Like because of the relationship and that twist, if you will, of oh man, like he finally reveals himself. And like I love their dynamic, but now he's just gonna forget. And then when it's revealed. I found that really touching. That was one of the crying moments for me. And it just like caught me totally off guard because pages happened where I was like, this is still really great. And I love their relationship still. But it's kind of getting reset a little bit, which is fine. It wasn't a negative, but the fact that the god chose not to because he values that friendship in such a deep way. I don't know. I just found it great.
Well, I mean, I think it's really important, right? Because like it doesn't matter that it's the reset of a day. Because what matters is that he's effectively resetting his memory so that T-Hole won't really know who Bug is, right? And like that has implications for like the friendship because there's always that idea of like he's still ultimately hiding himself, right? And so the fact that he's like willing to be known and seen by this person he calls his best friend, and Teal just is Teal, which is just
Teal. I think it's nice too because it's like it's going to allow him to like grieve properly for the loss of his. I think at this point he doesn't know. I can't remember if he knows that his brothers fell, but we know. I'm assuming he's got one different cut. Right? The memories of Bryce were inserted into Teal to live on. The names of those gods.
He knows.
He's got a different color eye. Because he's sleeping when the Guardian walks by and like him and Bug are both kind of like sleeping, I think. Teal at the very least is. And someone walks up to him and says like, you look different or something. He's like, really? Oh, I don't. It seems like he doesn't maybe know that Bryce's memories. Well, I don't know. He must know they're there, right?
I'd have to go. No, he doesn't know that the memories are there. They're in his like they're there. He's not aware of them yet. And Bryce wasn't even conscious. Like he knew he had them, but I don't think he. Get them. Yeah. I have to go back. I thought one of them got to know that the others that the other brothers were dead. I couldn't remember if it was Bryce that got to know that T-Hole was dead. Like Hole almost right.
Hole basically watched T-Hole get swarmed,
but he didn't know it was T-Hole. He was like just about to find out, and then he got stabbed in the back and died. But he never got to actually see. He was just concerned, and so maybe it was Bryce that got to find out. But I thought T-Hole found out that Bryce was dead. But maybe
he may have. And maybe it was with. Maybe we're just. I think we are to assume at some point he's going to know very shortly. If he doesn't, right? It's going to be revealed to him. So he'll get to kind of grieve properly for that. And I like the idea of Bryce living on, kind of living on within. I'm assuming that's why he's got the different color eye. I don't remember if Bryce has the blue eyes or what.
I don't know either, but I don't. So from my understanding, Bryce isn't like dead.
Yeah, he's not dead. Well, I mean, he is dead, but he's like being like brought down to be a guardian.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like going to serve a new purpose.
Yeah. But he is dead.
So yes,
he's like an undead kind of thing.
He's not, but he's like not dead and out. We should say.
Yeah.
He has it. He's not left the stage just yet. I mean, perhaps because we don't actually know if we'll see the Guardians again.
I think we may not see him again.
Yeah,
that's kind of the feeling I got left with. but maybe not. But his story did feel over to me.
Yep.
And like I said, I think most of them kind of did, even though like I think if I were to look at everything on paper, it's not like a clean ending for a lot of these characters. But they do feel like if we were to never see any of these people again, I think the only ones I would truly be like, what? Are the crew that are leaving with Saren. Like that really feels like we are leaving to go do something on an adventure that's gonna matter. And I would be like, what? It kind of feels weird that we're never gonna see them again. Where with like Rulad on the throne and stuff, I can imagine what's gonna right. It's the downfall of Lether. I don't need to really see how that plays out because I know it's not gonna be great. Warlock King, probably kind of know how that's gonna go. Not good for him. And we know that we've seen the future, if you will, as far as the Warren being flooded and things like that. So we kind of know with Troll where that's going. So I don't feel unsatisfied with that. So there aren't really any like Hull. I felt satisfied with Hull. It's not great. I'm not happy about it.
Right. No, that was a good ending.
Good ending. Yeah.
Yeah, felt very appropriate.
The King. Even Bryce, like I thought Bryce's ending, like I hated it, but it was
I will say that was my second one. I did not like the way that Bryce's ending. For me, that didn't make sense at all.
Wait, what didn't make sense about it?
So
wine?
Bryce like drinks the wine. That does not make any sense. Like I just can't. My rational brain cannot conjure a reason why that would happen. Other than the fact that he just needed to die somehow.
I just feel like he could have. There were plenty of other ways that I think Erickson could have killed him. I think like the fact that he had seen his king do it, he thought he had won. Like because to me it's like.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say like I think the big moment with Bryce is like. The Sita tells him, "Don't kill him," and we know what that means. And we're like, "Bryce, please don't." And then he duels him. You're like, "Don't do it, don't do it."
Yeah.
And then you're like, "He's not gonna put two and two together." Or at least I thought that. I was like, "He's not gonna put two and two together, and this is gonna be terrible." And then he just does in such a like way that I love the way Erickson writes it. It's like. He doesn't need to be inner monologuing and be like, oh, yeah, I remember when the Sita said, don't kill him. And that means I shouldn't kill this guy. He just does it. And I'm like, what's he doing? He's like destroying this guy. And then when it's revealed that he like cut tendons a certain way to leave him alive in agony but not kill him, he's like, yeah, he told me not to kill him, so I'm not going to kill him. And he's just smart enough to realize what that means.
Yeah. It was even like the whole reveal was even better than that because they basically said like finish him, and he's like no.
The king, yeah.
It does. He's like no.
Or someone does.
And they're like, well, it doesn't matter. Like he's gonna bleed out anyway. And then he's like, no, he's not. I didn't cut any major arteries, and so he's not gonna die. And he needs to die to regenerate, right? Isn't that how that works?
Yeah.
And like so, it's just it was very cool. Like not using the inner monologue. I love like that way of like revealing Bryce because this is really the first time we see Bryce like. In combat with like Batista, like a fellow warrior like that. I mean, he fought we've seen some of his prowess, right? Like we know that he's like a good warrior, but like that was like next tier.
Yeah.
And it's just like so fitting for like the King's champion.
Especially because we know Rulad going in is not a good champion. He's not a good fighter. And he wants to die. So it's like when you see that matchup, you're like, oh, Bryce is just going to wreck him. He's going to rock him. It's not even going to be a contest, but secretly that's what Rulad wants. And then, you really get to see his skill.
So for me, there's just, and I get it, but like there needed to be more time for that to cook, I feel like, because the problem was that we were still in the moment where Bryce was defending the body. Because Fear had, I think, had not left yet. And Troll had not made his decision yet. And I think that was, and the world, so like you've got Bryce, and then you got so you have Troll, Fear, and the Warlock King. And they're all right there, and any one of them could execute Rulad. And Bryce like literally just says like, Troll, if you approach the body, I will kill you. And then goes and drinks the wine. And like for me, it's just like that was That was a really weird moment. Like I think I would have preferred it to play out where the brothers are like crushed. They make their decision not to kill Rulad, and then they like begin to leave, right? And then Bryce is finally like, okay, like it's done,
Mm,
right? And then like he drinks the wine, and then they hear him collapse
mm,
in the background, and then that like is what changes the situation because he's no longer like defending Rulad, and then like you could have like Troll come back for Bryce, right? And then Fear turns his back completely and just leaves, and the Troll's like WTF, but like goes back because like he respects Bryce, and like Rulad is still screaming, the Warlock King's like rah, 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 right? And then you can do the whole Guardian appears. I'm not a huge fan of the Guardian like killing Rulad, but
I like it.
it's
He doesn't know.
it's fine. It's
It's
fine.
a mercy
Yeah.
killing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that it's like out of mercy.
Yeah.
When he doesn't know, and it's to me it was like I thought it was really cool because I think at this point the Warlock King has revealed his true self. He's sitting on the throne. He thinks he's just the most badass. He's won. He's gotten what he wants. Honestly, though, I do want to talk about Warlock King a little bit more. I feel a little confused as far as his whole arc. But I like that where he ends up. He's just like villain, like bad
Yep.
guy. And then just casually on the way out, he's like, this Guardian's like, guys, we can't let this guy suffer. Like he doesn't know. He's just like, this is horrendous. He doesn't know Bryce did it. He just
Yep.
thinks this dude's suffering, and just mercy kills him on the way out. And
Mm.
I can just imagine like everyone else in that room realizes the weight of that. And he just doesn't. He just thinks he killed somebody. But like that changes so much in a second that I thought the book was gonna end. With like this unknown, with the Warlock King sitting the throne.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool.
That one, and like again, I'm not trying to like put myself above the author because like Steven Erickson is so good and like he's way beyond anything I could do. But for that one, if I think the thing that stuck out was because I remember the writing for that one where I don't remember the exact phrasing, but basically the way it was phrased was like the Guardian did not know mercy, but in that moment chose to give mercy. Whereas like I just didn't like know why we needed to talk about the Guardian's typical disposition towards this particular moment.
I think it's a
When he's
callback
gonna
to the
perform.
first time we see him, when he duels Bryce, and Bryce
Yep.
shows him mercy.
Mhm.
I think I don't know if it's his connection to Bryce, and he's with him
That's what,
again.
that's what
And
actually, that's actually what I assumed. Yeah, it was
that's what
actually
I'm
because of
assuming
Bryce.
to
Mhm.
where I think that's why it works for me. It's like that
Yep.
that callback of
Yep.
of him like kind of learning and continuing on this dude's tradition, even though he's dead. Like he thinks this is probably what this guy who I'm carrying would have
Mhm.
wanted me to do, even
Yep.
though really
And like,
Bryce would be
yeah.
like, no.
Yeah. But yeah, it felt like, and maybe I just missed some of the elements of it because like I think some was like I think like the Warlock King wanting Rulad to suffer like that and being very blatant about it in front of the Guardian would have like for me like would have made the whole thing just like stitched together because the Guardian like having that moment with Bryce and like having Bryce now be poisoned, and then you have like, and keep in mind you're talking about the Warlock King's arc, which is like another element which is a little bit weird for me in terms of where he ends. But his body is like distorted. Like
he's all
he
like
got
corrupted.
effed up with Aceta. Like he's like mangled and stretched. Like it's a wonder he's still alive, right? So he's like this mutilated body now, and you can picture like this mutilated body like taking the throne, and then being like, no, 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 like he needs to suffer in agony for the rest of his days, and that just being like such an insult to the whole situation. That you could kind of see it's like the Guardians like holding Bryce. He's like, no, like no one should suffer like this, like for the end of their days, and just like, right. So, and especially to have that agony be the desire of one who's like so clearly gone, right? Like so clearly like whose ambitions have wrought such like clear evil on themselves and others. Yeah, for me, like I think that would have like helped kind of bring it together a little bit. But I'm also saying that too after, after like Bryce drinks the wine, I'm just like, this doesn't make sense to me. Like this is weird. So I was kind of already like looking to be nitpicky at that point.
Yeah,
To be
that's
fair, but,
I do like. I feel like that. I get it. Even when like it's fun though to me, like how obvious it is when that whole throne room starts,
Mhm.
and like then the first eunuch just like brings out wine randomly, and him and the king drink it, and like
Mm.
I didn't even think about it. I just was like, meh.
Yep.
And then when he drinks it, I was just like, all right. I mean, they're all just kind of just drinking it randomly. But then
Mhm.
the moment where it's poison, you're just like, oh my god, of course it's poison. Of course it's
Yep.
poison.
I
Like,
mean, that element of it, like, I mean, that's great. That was phenomenal,
yeah,
right? Like, that's such a great way. And like, even if like the king expires, which kind of happened like in the middle of the whole thing, like,
yeah,
it's for me, it's even believable that like that whole thing could like resolve, and the king could just be like dead in his chair and nobody notice, right?
yeah.
Because there's like so much tension right there, right? Like, and the king's like up on the pedestal, right?
I think the thing that,
So it's just like that. That was a phenomenal like conclusion for that for sure.
yeah, I
Yeah, I
do
don't mean to
really
disparage
like
that.
the way it resolves for Troll. Because Troll,
Mhm,
he's
agreed. Yeah.
constantly just like right on the edge of doing the right thing, and like I do believe in that moment he would have, he just was a second too late. It was too late. He was about to call out, but he had
Yeah.
already drank it.
Well,
And
but
like
that's the thing is like, is the right thing to kill Rulad? Because like, I'm not convinced that that is objectively correct.
no, I'm saying the right thing
Yeah.
would have been to stop Bryce from drinking the wine. He's about to stop Bryce from drinking it
Oh,
because he like sees the queen laughing. He recognizes the eunuch and the king dead, and he's about to be like, "Don't
oh yeah,
drink the wine,"
yeah.
but he's already
I
drank
believe
it.
he would have stopped him. Yeah, it's like too
Yeah,
late.
he's just
Yeah.
like always too late. No, I don't think.
Mm.
Uh, it's I totally get why he's conflicted with his brother. I mean, there's his
Yeah.
brother's like, I just wanted to be included, and I think
Mm.
that's true 100%. We've seen Roulad's journey, which I think is arguably one of the best journeys through the book of just
Yeah.
this tortured soul. And you like kind of feel for him, like, which is crazy because he's such a piece of shit, but not really his fault, kind of.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, I think the Warlock King is a lot worse. But yeah, I think the thing that confused me the most about the Warlock King was like we went from like probably not good, uh, doing some sus stuff to the I think the one thing that really threw me was when Saren goes to the not the great meeting or whatever, but like the pre-meeting, and she
Yep.
leaves and saying, "Oh, the Warlock King wants peace. I know this for a fact based off of what's been said here. He wants peace." But like looking at the rest of the book, did he? It doesn't seem like he
Yeah.
did, because that doesn't seem like peace to me. Like it seems like that's exactly what he wanted. He summoned some demon. So I feel like that's where I get a little bit lost. If you take that out, everything makes sense. He wants the sword. He wants to become the emperor. He wants to lead. I get all of that makes sense for his arc. But he had made the deal with the crippled god kind of beforehand. Like all that makes sense, but I don't know what really threw. And maybe it's worth rereading that little dinner party that she goes to. But she's
Well,
so
even the
confident.
crippled god like wanted Rulad because he was upset with the Warlock King because the Warlock King was just going to use it like a yeah, as like an ultimatum, right? He was going to use it as like a mutually assured destruction rather than like waging war on Latharis to use it as a sign of power. To be like, you don't want to mess with us, right? Like,
Yeah,
leave us
so
alone.
it's like at what point is it because the Warlock King now feels betrayed that he didn't get the sword, and that's what's like sending him down this path of like corruption or whatnot, because he's constantly like feuding with Rulad. He's using magic when he shouldn't have. He's pissing Rulad off. Like,
Yeah.
I mean like the stuff he does with the queen and the sun. To me, that imagery of the queen like cackling in the bag, dude. Oh my god, that shit's like haunting. And and there was a part of me that when it was revealed, because she is actively watching Bryce drink the wine and laughing.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, she's in on it. She's in on it. So wait, so I guess I never even
She's
thought
not.
about it. She's not really in on it. She's just glad everything's crumbling. I think she's just like, I mean, she's probably mentally gone at that point. She's a mess. But like, who?
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
poisoned the
She's
wine?
just. It was the
Was it the eunuch? Because he drank
the
it.
first. Yeah.
That was just part of it?
No. The first eunuch. Did
Yeah,
he drink it? No, I don't.
He does.
He does.
Yeah.
So it was the chancellor and the consort who get out then. Consort obviously being the errant.
The errant gets out.
And the chancellor gets out.
I don't
because
remember
they're both. I remembered it being like they're gone.
I'll have to find it.
Because remember, there's like 6 palace guards, and then there was like 2 men in the back. I think you're right about the first eunuch drinking as well.
Because he's the one that pours it. So that's what I thought at first. Like, oh, he poured it. So let me go back and see. But he like pours it, and then they both drink it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, well, he poured it.
But it's not like regicide in the traditional sense. Like, the king knew he was drinking poisoned wine.
The king did?
Yeah, like that was the plan, because they even talk about like the warlock king even mocks Bryce. He's like, your king had no faith in you.
I see.
He
drank to commit suicide. Like he knew he had lost.
Yeah.
I see. I see. That makes a little bit more sense, because I was viewing it as like like someone killed the king, and I think the queen like laughing at it made me think like, oh, there's some plot going on behind the scenes. But then I was like, it doesn't really seem like there was. No,
she just like the way I took it was like she would just know, right, that's what he would do, because it's pretty. Like, I mean, that's not like an abnormal thing. There's a lot of like stories like that. I mean, even our own history, like when people are cornered like that, they don't want to be like publicly executed and humiliated.
Yeah.
When they're the king, right, and so or the royal family, and so they commit suicide.
Yeah, that makes
actually even more common amongst queens, to be fair. And so like I kind of saw it as like she knew exactly what he was doing. She was like, yeah, he's not gonna face real life. He's gonna drink the wine. He's gonna kill himself. He's not trying to face any of this humiliation or suffering.
Yeah, or stand up for like me as queen, who's like clearly been like used and abused, and your son, even if you disagree with them, like. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I do think the concubine maybe got away. She was like tired. She was sleeping a lot, and Bryce like woke her up. And like I think we never really heard too much. But someone does swear. I think it's the chancellor. I think you're right. I think the chancellor swears his loyalty to Rulad at the end when like Featherweight shows up. Yeah. So not
because I know the palace guards get out. They like let there's like 6 palace guards. They go, and then we like the errand is just like somehow vanished, right? But also like
he's just a witness.
So, yeah. So.
Which was again, I think we were obviously we weren't. I wasn't at the point where I was like, he's the errant, but like we were like, something's off about this dude. Like,
yeah. Also, to be fair, like okay, like super cool that like he ends up being the errant, like, but and I'm not trying to like rag on the book, but like worst god in history. Like he's like, I'm a god. Like, what do you do?
Witness?
I nudge. He's like, I nudge.
Yeah, maybe he's just trying to stay out of it, and like I'm sure he like enjoyed his life there. It sounded like he was living large, just sleeping with people, eating, partying. So yeah, I'd be curious to see if we see him again. But like he doesn't even get everything he wants either. Especially like I guess he does, but not in the way that he thinks.
Well, and like. And and to be fair, like his like nudging, like he basically can like almost like order events to go how he wants them, right? Because he can like push people to desire things, push people to want things, push ideas in their heads. So like I'm not, I'm trying to be over the top here, but it is just funny where you have like Bug like reveals to be a male, and he's like, yeah, I took your like huge like sea demon, your shadow demon, and I just like canned it. You're done, right? Like I just blew up 14 eaters by like shouting at them, right? And like Silchaz's ruin, I mean, looks epic. Like there's the whole showdown with like the 4 Toblakai, like all of this like stuff is really cool. And then you have the Aaron, he's like, I nudge.
Yeah, he's kind of like a Loki or something, like a little
it's really what it is. It's kind of what it feels like. He's like a little bit more of a benevolent Loki.
Yeah,
but it's just funny.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's okay. I mean, I'm being a little bit harsh. He also sleeps with his followers, so I mean, he's got that. He's he's a good time. So
he does have a good time. He parties. He says he's been there for a long time, just partying. I as far as like yeah, I would say he's not a memorable character for me.
Mhm.
But I also think it was like, you know what it reminded me of, and like I guess spoilers for the Odyssey, but not really. It's not really. There's just like I think that's just part of like the mythology of the Odyssey of
Mhm.
like they believed that the gods would like disguise themselves as humans, and so they
Yep.
use like Zeus's law because at any point if you mistreat somebody, it could be a god you're mistreating. And that's what I kept like thinking of is like what is Tom Holland's character? He's like you have Athena's eyes, and I just kept thinking about that for the errant of like dang yeah dude's got Athena's eyes, you better
Yeah.
watch out. He's just kind of coexisting, and like that is what
Mhm.
it is. Obviously I think he has a part of, I think it's pretty pushed on. I think Troll recognizes they are being guided to Saren, right? He even recognizes like I'm being pushed here to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So that this is what the errant wants for them to go to Saren. All right, what do you got?
No, it's
So
it's
you're
just you were
smiling
talking
over
about.
there.
Yeah, well, it's because you were talking about the Odyssey, but like, have you ever seen the show Vikings?
Mm-mm.
So that was like a common element to many different mythologies,
Mhm.
right? Like the whole idea of like treating strangers like isn't just like a Christian element. Like obviously with the golden rule and things like that, but like that's been common in many different religions. It's just a matter of like to what degree or in what circumstance. But yeah, like in the show Vikings, which to be fair is like not, it's not accurate in any way, shape, or form. But one of the things they do with the show Vikings is like they try to play with the paganism by like
Mm.
having people like share beds, like even unmarried people,
Mm.
which actually like the Danes like in the Swedes like they didn't do that. Like they were actually quite monogamous.
Mm.
But there's a scene where a guy like basically wants his wife to be publicly beaten because she's pregnant with somebody else's child, who
Mm.
was like a stranger that just showed up, and then they decide to all share a bed together, and then the stranger like leaves the next day, and like now she's pregnant, and there's this whole thing where it's like. The female protagonist is sitting in the throne. She's like, "Well, how do you know it's his baby? How do you know it's not yours?" He's like, "Well, I just know." And she's like, "Is this correct?" She's like, the lady's like, "Well, we were all sharing the same bed, so like I don't know what happened." And then she basically goes off on this guy because he's like a total a-hole. She's like, "Well, maybe that was a god in disguise. Maybe a god decided to come to your home and bless your home with this child.
Yeah.
And now you can raise a demigod. Like, shouldn't you be excited that you're like
It's like it's crumbling, it's
what?"
crumbling.
I was like, "What is happening here?"
Yeah, that's
But
funny.
yeah, when he brought up that stranger, I was like, you gotta treat your guests because they would disguise, or like, sleep with them because they could be a god in
Could be a
disguise, or
god,
like
yeah.
the Aaron, like.
Yeah. That's funny. But yeah, I don't think he's gonna be like a. We'll see if he shows up.
Mhm.
I would be okay if he didn't. I would be okay if he did. Like
Yeah,
he's just like kind of a witness there, and yeah, more of like a nudger, right? He's not. He's not. He's very involved, but without being involved.
yeah,
Which I think works for his character
yeah,
well enough. But
yeah.
yeah, I feel
One thing,
indifferent towards him.
one thing I will add to that is, and I maybe I just missed this early, but it definitely came up again in the last chapter, and that's when I finally queued in. It took me that long to realize that they don't actually know, like the Lethari people, they don't know what a warren is.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
No, they've literally no idea what warrens are. They don't even know what like the hold of the dead is. Like they have
Yeah.
no concept of any of the gods of the or the lords of the warrens that we've seen
Well,
through the first 4 books. They have no idea who Hood is. They don't know who Opon is. They don't know about Shadow Throne.
but
They
they
don't
do
know
have
that
their own things. They have the holds,
they have the holes and they have the tiles.
which we learn are the
Yep. Yeah,
are
but
the
that's the
Warren.
thing is, but like that for me, I know it doesn't I think have a whole lot of impact on the story, but it's definitely something because of the fact that we have like the Tista Eater and like we do have mentions of Jagged. Like for us, like these are characters that are associated with Warrens, so it was just kind of natural for me to just assume that this is like a part of their world because it's just all in Malazan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it became like when they had this exposition, I think with Saren.
Yep, Saren and Corlo.
Yeah, so that happened once, and I was like, "That's a little bit I didn't quite catch it at that point. That was a few chapters before the end, but then it came up again, and then I was like, hold on a second, like rewind, because now the bread, like these pieces had all fit together. And yeah, that I just feel like that would have for me, I would have wanted to know that really early, because that I find really interesting, and I would have liked to have been able to think a lot more about that with like the Lothari, and like especially with like Shirkalal and like Kettle, and like what was happening with Azath. Like if I had clued in on that sooner, and maybe the elements were there, I just didn't mesh, because I didn't expect that, right? Like going into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like for me, that like that's a really important piece of lore that they do not know about Hood. They don't know about the other Warrens. They don't know about like Karul or like any of those other elder gods. Like they don't know about any of that world that we're so familiar with from like Gardens of the Moon. And so
I'd
yeah,
be
and like
curious to see, because like looking in the back, because I remember when Featherwitch did that big like spiel about all the holds,
yeah,
and we kind of like we were able to kind of put together that like, oh well, the holds kind of are like the Warrens, kind of, and they've got the names right. They've got the Elder, the Crone, the Seer, the Shaman, and that kind of correlates to what we know about the Warrens with like the Knight and all the things like that. But to me, I think it's cool because it feels realistic, right? We've
yep,
talked about before, just the way language happens or the way religion has happened, where there's a
mhm,
lot of religions that are very similar, but have culturally, separated, and so it does feel natural that like Corlo and who knows of these Warrens, and Saren, who doesn't but knows of the holds, right? These people know of the
mhm.
holds. Why would they be like, they wouldn't even know what to ask, what's a Warren, because they've never heard of
Yep,
it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And then same thing I imagine with the Edor. They just assume they probably don't know what the holds are. They
yeah,
just know the Warrens. And so then when this clash happens, we kind of get that overlap conversation of
mhm,
like us figuring out too, to me, a natural point in the story of when we would figure that out. So yeah, it kind of worked for me. It's one of those things that like it will be really cool for a reread. I think we got the
yeah,
revelation, and that was cool. It definitely would have put different things in different perspective, but I think it felt
yeah,
very intentional to me that
mhm,
you were kind of like, what are these holds? Like, what are these tiles? And they're going into them. That's weird because that feels. I mean, we mentioned it. It felt like the Warrens. It
yeah,
felt similar to it. Um, and so it makes sense that it's like, oh yeah, they just are. That's just
yeah.
because they are.
Well, and so it definitely, because I think one of the biggest things that has implication for all, and again, maybe speaking about intentionality, like this could be the reason why, is the obscure the whole idea of the prophecy that the Sita talks about. Because when you have that disconnect about like holds versus warrants, for example, well, it's likely that the prophecy has a lot more to do, like when someone, like for example, like the first empire and things like that, and this old like Lothari prophecy, which is not a Lothari prophecy at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What we know about the Warrens is that the Warrens have these thrones, and that many of those set are unseated,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like we saw that with Shadow Throne. So you put the prophecy in that perspective, it's like, oh, the prophecy probably has a lot more to do with these like unseated thrones,
Mm-hmm.
but they have no concept of that at
Yeah.
all, because they don't know about these at all. They just know about their tiles and their holds. But yeah, like I'm definitely curious what would have stood out differently if I had known, if I cued in sooner or had known sooner that they don't know what like what warrants are.
Mm-hmm.
I just took it for granted. I
Yeah.
really is like I think what it came down to. I just took it for granted that surely everybody in this universe would just know what they are, because that's like the magic system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was cool.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, it's like you can kind of see that that's probably the way that he's viewing this. It's a whole world.
Hmm.
And I think that's the way he's reviewing religion and language and things, cultures,
Yep.
is in a realistic, I don't say it's magic and stuff, but realistic way where it's not the first time either that, and it happens more in this book too, where it's just like,
Mm.
oh, the Lothari call these people the Blue Rose, but they're just Tista and D.
Yep.
And like, oh, these Tarthanol. Oh no, they're just Toblakai gods. It's like all these names that different cultures call the same thing.
Yep.
It's just different cultures have different religions and storytelling and things like that, to where it can like cause that. And as a reader, when we're in the minds of these separate cultures, it makes sense that whenever we're with them specifically, they are just living their lives and thinking about things in a natural way for them, which I think can make it really confusing sometimes. But I do also think it makes for cool revelations like that.
Yeah. And then it also leads to us doing what we always do, which is you just take all of their names and you combine them, because I don't know if you had come across this, but which is not a spoiler at this point, but the Toblakai are like in the like back of the book sometimes, or like in the like writings on, or like summaries on Malazan, they'll be referred to as the Thelamin, Parthenol, Toblakai, because it's just all the different names.
And there's also like the Serengal.
Yeah,
they're also the Serengal. At a certain point, I was just like,
well, I think those are the Serengal, right? It's not Toblakai that is; it's them specifically.
Those specifically are the Serengal, which are the Tarthanol gods.
Yeah,
that's like what they call their gods.
Tarthanol is like a people.
Yeah,
and then like the Serengal are like those specific ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which was just like, I don't know. Tarthanol gods. Well, which by the way, we're kind of going way different than we normally do, but this is fun. Yeah, I did want to show you the art from this, because I had intentionally hidden. I showed you the first piece, but I took off the cover without looking at it. I put the little I don't know what's called, cloth cover over the naked hardback, so I didn't see it. I didn't look at the back cover. I just tried to hide it from myself because it does spoil things sometimes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show
you. Malazan covers are like anime intros. Just don't watch them.
Yeah, for real.
Until you're done with it.
Here's the front cover. See if you can. At first, I did kind of see this, but I never really like put two and two together of like what this scene was until I looked at it more closely, and I do think that is Siltrus Ruin up there. So I think this was kind of like the first, sometime during that very first prologue battle, is what I'm viewing it as.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because we still don't really know what the Wyval looks like.
I'm
assuming that's not the Wyval.
I don't think this is the. Yeah, I don't think this is the Wyval. There's also a bunch of like bodies and stuff on the ground. You can't really see them.
I just kind of picture the Wyvals as being like more diminutive, like just because of the way it was described of like how the Wyval like launched itself like into the mud.
Yeah.
To like free Siltrus Ruin. I kind of picture them as being like more slender.
Yeah, I think so. It's like kind of like a not baby dragon, but like a small dragon.
Yeah. On the other hand, trying to picture like Udanos as Matthew McConaughey from Reign of Fire is kind of funny.
Amazing, great movie. Get Chance Dillon in here. All right. So this is the naked.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Who are these guys?
So I'm assuming it has to be Teal and Bug.
Teal and Bug, baby.
Yeah.
Look at that art. That's great art.
It's good. It's phenomenal.
The rooftop scene. And then I did show you this once it became relevant. This was the Warlock King and everybody kneeling to Rulad.
Yep.
Which, again, doesn't really, like, not enough gold on him, but damn, he looks fucking awesome.
Yep.
He looks sick.
Yep.
Okay, so then the back cover. This one took me a second. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And it looks cool, but I was like, what the hell is this?
This looks like the casting of magics. I just don't know. This doesn't feel like it's the battle between the Sita and the Warlock King. It feels more like it's one of the other instances where they're like using magic.
I think it's just like that first time. It's almost like I think it's when they send the magic over to take out the Hyroth village. That's kind of how I'm picturing it, because it was like very like whirlwind. There's body parts going around and shit.
Yeah, if that's the Lothari doing it, then that's exactly what it would be. If it's the Tista Edor, it seems like those are Lothari.
I can't. Yeah, I can't really tell. They
It's
do
just
look a
it's just
little
that they
gray
are.
skinned.
Yeah,
So it
but
could
the
be like.
armor though.
Yeah, the armor doesn't really look like it's Tista Eater. There is the scene where the Warlock King uses his magic and it kills a bunch of Lethari and
Yeah.
so it's
'Cause
one of those
that's how
two scenes.
they.
That's also like a whirlwind with bones and shit.
Yeah.
It's very
Because that's
similar.
how they take out the companies, right? Because remember, like the first, well, I was about to say first sword, but it's like whoever the commander is, right? They assemble the companies, and then they all, like, there's like it's expected to be like a fight, right? Like
Mhm.
soldier on soldier, but they just wipe them out with magic.
Yeah.
And then I think it's only no, it's maybe Benedict's company, I think.
They
Who
don't
actually?
use magic.
Yeah, they don't, and they're the
Yeah.
only company that actually saw combat.
Yep. And that Roulad's
Uh,
pissed because that was not the plan, and it
Yep.
kills a bunch of Edor, and that's when Udenas
Yep.
almost dies and things like that.
Yep.
All right, there's a couple more pieces, not full art, or not full color. So some of these, there's one I don't know what the hell it is, and I'm very curious to see if you do. This one I do know. I think you'll know this one too.
Oh. Wait, so actually, I'm blanking a little bit on this one. So the two swords. This has to be Silcha's ruin, right? With his two swords.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
albino hair and everything.
Yeah. I was gonna say this can't be like Bryce carrying the two swords. That looks way too weird for it to be
No,
Bryce.
yeah,
It has
yeah.
to be Silcha's.
That's Silcha's. Then we know this one.
Yeah, Rulad. Yeah.
Roulade.
Also, okay. So again, slightly off topic.
Yeah.
But it would be awesome to have a scene with like Rulad just doing like an arm wrestle, like an Arnold Schwarzenegger like arm wrestle, and just like the biceps,
Ping,
you know,
ping,
and just,
ting, 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 ting.
and just
Yeah.
like gold coins just flying off everywhere.
Yeah,
that would be
hilarious.
funny.
So I think I know now what this is, but yeah. I kept seeing this. I was like, what the hell is this? Like,
This has to be iron bars against the Serengal, right?
yeah, I think that's what it is. But like,
Yeah.
I know that they're big, but I did not picture them that big. Like they
Yeah,
said
they're
they
not
were.
that big.
Yeah, I think this is a little exaggerated because they're fucking
They're like
huge.
They're huge. They're more like 7 to 8. They're like around 7 to 8 feet tall.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? I kept waiting for this scene to happen because this one I couldn't not spoil. It's just every time I would go to like the dramatis persona, it'd be right there. But yeah, I think that's what it has to be.
They're like low tier Attack on Titan. That picture is more like higher tier.
They're
Attack
huge.
on
Yeah, I was like, my goodness, when is this scene happening? But yeah, I thought that was a funny picture, but great art all around. Interesting choices for.
Is Ublawa in that one though?
No,
or is it just the 4 Serengal?
It's just the 5 Serengal and.
Wait, is it 5 Serengal or is it 4 Serengal?
That's 5.
5.
There's one hiding. There's 2 in the back there.
Yeah.
They call them like the 5.
Yeah. I want the art of like Ublala bear hugging one so hard.
It's
not enough.
It's just
There's
a
not
full
enough
art.
pages.
Yeah. It's just a continuation.
You have to like this is the whole back of the cover. You know, stretch it all the way out. But no, I want the art of him like bear hugging one of the Serengal to death.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's freaking
and
epic.
Harless
like,
biting one of their necks.
Yeah. I'm glad Harless like got to do something.
Me too.
But it's also like it's also, I don't know, hilarious is maybe not the right word, but like the fact that he came in and like got one and then like rolled into a ditch, it was just like hanging out in the ditch, is like whenever they're all dead, I'm gonna jump out and scare them.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like on paper
like,
the whole like
character?
Yeah, who the hell is he? Like I'm glad they like from go Erickson did make a point to be like, this dude's not important. Like he's there and he's always like, look at me, I'm a vampire. But like never actually important. But I mean, he does help beat them.
I gotta be honest though, at this point, like I am actually wondering if Garrett killed him or if it was just like a prank gone wrong. Because like at this point, I can totally picture him like hiding out, like waiting to jump, and then he like jumps out, like trips and like goes down the stairs.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, great. All right, well, yeah, I guess where you want to go from here? We talked about I guess the the kind of parts of the final scene. We didn't talk about the duel between. We can almost work backwards a little bit. The duel between the Warlock King and the Sita was awesome.
Yep. Okay. I legitimately thought Troll was gonna kill the Warlock King.
I feel like that's so great about Troll is like we know where he ends up. We know what type of character he is, and every decision I was like, it could go either way. It could go either way. And like to me, it's just like such good writing when you still feel that. And I was like, well, he's not going to kill the Sita. He can't. There's no way he's going to do it. And then like he did it, and it felt for a believable reason for me. Like I bought it.
Yeah. For the same reason, I legitimately thought I was like, he's gonna just like kill the Warlock King, and the Sita will just be spent because of this like epic battle. And then like that's how it'll resolve. Because it definitely, I will say, feels a lot more like the Warlock King is the one who's pushing the danger level, right? Like it felt really like he was like the main reason why that battle was so threatening to everyone else.
Yep.
So now granted, like either one of them goes down, then the danger level comes down, right?
Yeah.
Like clearly, because that's what's upping the stakes. But yeah, I thought he was just gonna be like just spear into the Warlock King and
I wish he did. The Warlock King, man, you hate him by the end. He's just such a piece of crap. I did I would say Malazan doesn't often make me feel clever. Usually does the opposite. But every once in a while, I'll be like, I think I see what's happening here. And one of those moments was from the very beginning of this part, the first scene with Bryce and the Sita in the Eternal Domicile. He's like feeling around the bricks, and he's like, this brick right here. I'm like, oh, it's with Bug. Something set up with Bug. I know it. Yeah. And when that kind of came to fruition, I was like, yes, I did it. Steven Erikson would be so proud of me. I put something together. And that scene was just awesome. You get the POV of the demon first, being like, I see my moment. I'm going to branch off. It's like leading them down this like river, which, by the way, already has like, what, thousands of bodies in it on the bottom. So it's just a cool scene to picture. And then it like hears like the heart, or what he thinks is like, he calls it the heart, or it calls it the heart. Basically, which is going to like unleash him, give him the power to be unleashed. And so he like slithers off and branches off, goes on like the sewer pipes and everything, which we know were the ones that Bug built. And then right when it's there, just the Sita being like, now. And then it just happens where Bug calls in the favor from the Jagged that he helped out earlier, and they freeze the demon inside of that lake. I just thought, like, damn, peak.
Yeah, that was so good.
Malazan moment for me. Like, it just was awesome. Where all the pieces were there, it felt totally earned. I didn't really know where it was going until it happened, other than like I knew something was going on with the Eternal Domicile and Bug and the Sita, but I wasn't like, oh, they're gonna call in the favor from the Jagged and freeze it. I was just like, what are they gonna do? Like, and I thought that was awesome. And then we got the little scene with Who Butt. His name's Who Butt. It's funny because I was telling Colin, he's in it for like 2 sentences. He's like the couple that's on the lake, and she's like,
I'm trying to remember if
that's
how. I'm trying to remember if that was how the
audiobook said it.
It's
how the Hoobutt.
Yeah, I think it might be. I can't remember. I was trying to, but I can't remember if he pronounced it Hoobutt or how he pronounced it.
Yeah, but, it's just hilarious. He's like, I'll marry you when the lake freezes over, and then it freezes over. He's like, all right, I guess I'll marry you.
I'm married today.
Yep. So really liked that scene. I just thought it was awesome. As far as Eternal Domicile stuff, I think that's most of it. If not,
how did you what did you think about like Silchild's Ruin and like that conclusion with like the Azath? Because that was another one where, and maybe that's like, and that could be part of it too, where it may just be that there was like an accumulation of little things. So like, and I may have missed it, but like he doesn't use the swords. Right, he takes them, but he doesn't use them.
He doesn't use
and
them.
Like that, yeah. And so that was another one where like he comes up, like Kettle's not able to get them swords fast enough. He gets pulled back down, and then like the Wyval goes in after him, and then he gets out. The Wyval gets out, and then he takes the swords from Kettle, of course. But like now it's just resolved.
Well, he's going with them. Yeah, I would say I kind of do group I would say that is probably one of the least satisfying, I guess, like group of stories is the whole like Azath house. But I still felt, he got out, and there's also kind of like a conclusion with Udanas being with the Wyval coming out of him, and Kettle. To me, it's like now it's almost like getting the gang together, and now the gang is gonna go do something. And thinking about like, one, just what it means, I think is exciting, but like people like Fear are with Silchas without realizing it. And he's like, I need to save my people by going and finding Scabandari Bloodeye, right? Who betrayed Silchas. And like, what's this going to mean? That's really exciting. What's he going to learn along the way? I think Fear is another character that like, I'm glad that we're probably going to get more. Because he really turned into like such an interesting character for me by the end. But yeah, I thought that whole battle, I would say that I felt that way about the Azath house for the entirety of this book. It was my least interested plot line. It was interesting, and every time I was like, "There's a lot of mystery here," but I was way more invested in like the war between the Edor and the Lethrai, just in general. But yeah, I thought it was not. I don't know. I thought it was fine. Like I thought it was pretty good. I think we're supposed to believe that the woman holding on to him was because we got that like weird vision where they imprisoned one of Scabandari Bloodeye's daughters in the same Azath house. So are we supposed to believe that that's who was holding on to him in the muck? And the Wyval goes in and kills her. So yeah, I don't know. Like the Wyval serving its master, I'm assuming. It's obviously the Wyval is getting the call. It's been waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally gets the call and goes and saves its master, and everything kind of just like works together. It's not just Silch just being like, "Oh, I have the swords now." Whoa!
Yep.
It's like bro hasn't even used the swords yet.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. It kind of felt like when I was reading those moments, I was just like letting it take me where it wanted to, but I wouldn't say my excitement level was like, oh shit, like it was with the throne room. Like the throne room scene when Bryce does that to Rulad, I was like, oh shit, like that was cool. And with the demon and bug and stuff, I thought that was awesome. And yeah. So probably the lower tier of the if I had to rank the story plot lines. But as far as excitement going forward, I think that whole crew, I'm in it. We got Udanas with the Andy spirit still.
You were there.
We got Kettle, who's a Forkal assail that, if is woken up, bad, but not gonna be probably traveling with disguised Silchus Ruin. We've got Fear, who is going to try and save his piece. He's now on the side of Troll, where he thinks that his people are lost, and he needs to go find their god to save their people, who just so happens to be the god that betrayed the god he's traveling with, or soul taken, I guess. They're basically gods, right? I guess I don't know.
To them, they are like gods, but they hold the same place as like Anim and Arake.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
exactly.
They're like children of gods. I mean, they're basically demigods, and like in our type of
like powerful people though, and like a conflict brewing. And then Saren, who I just like, I still, I think probably like top 3 characters of this book for me. I loved Saren, and I'm so glad when she finally made it home. I was like, I like it. I like the ending. If that were her ending, I wouldn't have minded it, but I'm glad that it's not her ending. And so that like band of people going off, I think that's it, right? Is there anyone else?
Yep. Troll's there, but he's not going with them.
He's not going with them. He's going back to stay with Rulad, which we know how that ends up. But he leaves the sword for her, so they're gonna as like they're like his people's like marriage thing. They're finally like he you know what I'm talking about. He like offers her the sword, because they've been kind of like will they won't they.
Fear offered her the sword.
No, it was Troll.
No, it's Fear. Fear picked up a sword and was like, I don't know why I picked it up.
I think it's Troll, dude. I think it's Troll. Yeah. Because I think the whole Troll Saren will they won't they that's been going on. I think it's Troll. Maybe not. If it's not, then I don't get it. Because
Okay,
because
it might have been. But I thought it was Fear that picked up the sword,
yeah,
and he was like,
can't.
I don't. He was like, I don't know why.
Well, maybe that's like a joke. Like that's kind of like the
Yeah.
because it the way it's talking about, it's like it's almost like it doesn't mean anything. Let's see if I can find it as well.
No, it is Troll. Yeah, Troll offers the sword to Saren. Yep.
Yeah, because I think it was kind of like for their potential
I
like
think I just
romance.
mixed up who. I think I just mixed up because like Troll's like he uses a spear, so I think that's why I was like, mixing it up. It's like why is he picking up a sword?
I think just to gift it to her with like to show the way they handle
Well, I know,
marriage.
well
and
he
things.
was well actually no the reason why he picked up the sword he was nudged that I do remember that detail. I just
Well-
thought it was Fear that was the one he picked up, but no, like so Troll picked up the sword, but no, he was nudged.
to pick
Wink,
up the
wink.
sword or to go there, because I remember
No,
on their way there, he's
Fear was nudged to go there. Troll was nudged to pick up the sword because they asked him like, "Why are you picking that up?" He's like, "I don't know."
well, then maybe Aaron like knows that they have a thing,
Yeah.
and like he's gonna act
Well,
on it because they
well,
had
yeah, yeah,
clearly had like
yeah,
some
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of flame
Mhm.
that like could never be right, and it probably
Right, right.
still never will be. But it's a nice sign for them to,
Mhm.
even if they never see each other again.
Yeah.
I do like it for them. But yeah, I mean I loved Saren, her whole journey. That was the other like moment that made me really emotional, was the scene where they're just on horseback traveling, and they basically like she just kind of very casually asks like can you make it go away, that kind of thing. And I was
Mhm.
just like, damn bro, this it got heavy, it got like really heavy
Mhm.
there. And just yeah, that part was really emotional for me.
Yep.
And yeah, I just like so much was said with like him asking her very gently like, do you want me to make it go away? And she just like casually, not casually, but nods. Like she can't even say yes, but she just nods, almost like childlike.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just thought that was a really powerful scene. One of the best scenes of the final book for me was that
Mhm.
scene. um
That's really good.
yeah, so really like Corlo. uh oh is Iron No, because Iron Bars is gonna sail with Shirk, who we find out that
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
Force
like,
Cola, right?
huh?
It's the whole
Yeah,
Crimson
the whole
Guard. Which one?
people are like hired by Shirk, I guess.
Yeah, they're her crew for the journey.
Yeah, so I wonder if she's viewing
Yeah.
them as like they're, because she wants to be a pirate. So like, are
Yeah.
they pirates now, or like in her eyes are they pirates, and she's hired a crew, and they're just like, we just want travels.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, But yeah, I thought like I at first I was like, oh, these Crimson Guard, like I like them, but like they're kind of just showing up here. But like I really like Iron Bars and Corlo,
Mhm.
especially. I think like again we talk about Ericsson's strengths. The way that I was already liking Corlo and Iron Bars, but like the way I felt about them after that conversation was just like I
Mhm.
love them, like I
Mhm.
love them. So I want more. So I'm excited. There's no shot they're not showing up again. I just feel like they have to.
Yeah, we just don't know when. That's the
We
thing.
don't know
Yeah.
when, but I'm excited for
Yeah,
them to.
I do hope it's not. I mean, but I do wonder because there is the story like Return of the Crimson Guard. I think is what it is, or something like that.
Yeah, it just could be. And you're right. I do
And,
think a lot of these, even the Saren journey, that could just be like it's at the end of the day, this 10
Mhm.
series is about Malazan, and these
Mhm.
guys aren't Malazan. If you want to know, and that's kind of how I feel of like a lot of these like open-ended journeys. And maybe it's because I've been taught this already from previous books. I do still feel like even if they are open-ended, there's still like arcs that happen that I feel satisfied if I didn't see them again.
Mhm.
Like if I never saw T-Hole and Bug again, I would feel extremely
Yep.
satisfied. Even though it's like, well, at the end of the day, not a whole lot happened there. And you're right, we didn't get any kind of conclusion or anything, but like I still feel really satisfied with their character arcs and the plots that did happen with them. Uh, and I think that just kind of sums this book up. Of just, I just feel really satisfied with
Mhm.
everything. But yeah,
I think it's fair. Yeah. I know I'm adding a bit to it, but the scene with Iron Bars and Corlo when they go fight the Deavers.
oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah.
That was
The way I kind of pictured it in my mind was like literally just like they go there and then the errant nods like because like that's the spot. And like the way I pictured my mind was just like you have like a dark like entryway, and then they just like run in, and then you just hear like growling, and then Iron Bar's is like, almost like just like son of a,
yeah,
and just
yeah.
like, and you can imagine, like I just kind of imagine it from like the outside of like they're just like fighting on the inside, and you just hear all the noises. Like I was picturing it from the Aaron's perspective,
Yep,
right?
me too.
And then like dead wolves are like flying
Yeah.
out, like, and these guys just like stumble out. They're all like bloodied up, and they're like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, dude. And then
Oh,
like Banaga shows up.
yeah,
That part was cracking me up because it's kind of tense. They're like, oh, the soul taken are coming. They're gonna come see their god, and they're gonna be pissed or whatever. And then they just get jumped by this wolf, and Iron Bars just like destroys this wolf, and it's like pissing everywhere and dying. And his friend's like, oh shit, he peed on you. And it's just like, oh no, that was Banaga. It's just like, oh shit. I just thought it was hilarious. So like that's just like the camaraderie they have. He's like, oh dude, you got pissed on. Like I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, the Jekwer ended up being really interesting too, because we kind of get some more lore about them with like, I wrote it down because it was a little confusing. They were like around from the first Empire, and they got like, even though it wasn't their fault, they kind of got blamed for what happened. Let's see if I can find it.
Well, and it isn't, I mean, aren't the Jek, right? The Jek were the ones that hunted Rulad, Troll, Fear, Venedas that led to Rulad and getting the sword. And Rulad got his first blood by slaying a Jek Deaver.
Yes.
Right? Or at least they were soul taken. But yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it says Bryce speaks with Turadal Brizad, or the errant, who informs him of the true history of the First Empire. Their ancestors, the Lethari ancestors, unleashed their own annihilation and exiled or blamed those that came to help them, who were the Jek. So the Jek came to help the Lethari people for causing their own demise, but instead of welcoming that help, they blamed them for what happened to them. So that's why the Jek are also wanting to come into the city to awaken their god and have their own revenge plot against the Lethari people. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing, because it did feel a little weird. I was like, the Jek are working with them now? They're just like I kind of, maybe they've like submitted, but it did feel like a little weird when they just were suddenly on the hunt with them.
Yeah, I kind of took it as just like they couldn't oppose Rulad, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah. That's kind of what I was. Just at some point, I was like, all right, I just have to believe that that's that. And it didn't really bother me at all. But like, then we got this, and I was like, makes a lot more sense. Makes a lot more sense.
I loved how, Bug runs into the errant, and then, the errant's just like, well, we got to deal with this situation. Bug's just like, okay, just one more thing. And he's like, you know what? Hold that thought. And he just walks to the Crimson Guard. He's like, okay, I need you all for something.
Yep.
And he's like, well, we can't, like, we're hired by Shirk. He's like, that's hilarious, because like I hired Shirk, right? Like Shirk works for Teal. So like you kind of work for me then. And so I need you to go do this job. And he's like, well, hey, we haven't even introduced ourselves. We don't know who you are. He's like, okay, like tell me who you are. And Corlo's like, yeah, I'm a Crimson Guard. My name's Corlo. Been sober for 3 months. He's like, that's good enough. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, man, Bug is just great in this whole part. He's just going crazy. I mean, yeah, T-Hole really does take a back seat. He's basically just chilling on his roof until he almost dies.
I mean, he was worn out, man. Like that, the whole escapade with Shirk probably just wore him.
Yeah, there's some more humor too. Just Shirk, like, it just feels like Erickson is just like taking drugs with Shirk. It's like her spying on the estate when Garen comes back, and then she falls and gets like an iron bar stuck into her head, and she's like, I want it to be pushed in or sawed off and then like replaced with like a gem. Like just like, what are we like? This is just so weird. And you're a pirate now? Like, what the fuck? But like, sure. I mean, I don't really care. It just feels very weird. But she's always been weird, I guess. So she's a pirate that doesn't look like a pirate because she's got a big gemstone in her forehead that has to continuously. This freaking Crimson Guard, man, they're in for a trip. She's gonna need to be sleeping with all of them. trying to look through my notes as
There's
well.
there is a inappropriate joke mixed in there because she has an iron bar in her. That's all I'm gonna
Oh
say.
my gosh! Yeah, I'm about to have a second.
The other thing was so Garen, that was kind of a
Mhm.
what? My wife is looking at me. You don't know what we're talking about.
It's out of context. Out of context.
But yeah, so I mean, Garen felt like a little bit of a weird conclusion.
I kind of like it.
I liked it Ublala, but I think I got mixed in the weeds there. But
It wasn't
he's
Ublala.
chasing. Was it not Ublala? I thought he got
No.
crushed.
No. So what happened? You talking about who kills him? Who kills
Yeah,
Garen?
because so he's chasing Marin, right?
So they're gonna go kill T-Hole, but then they're chasing and he sees Mayan, or
Marin.
they call him Marin.
No, what did I say? I said Marin.
Mayan. It doesn't matter.
Mayan is how they pronounce it.
Sees her running. He's like, I'd like a piece of that. So he breaks off, starts chasing her, catches her. She kills herself with a dagger.
Yep.
And then this big old dude who is of the same, I believe he is the same race as Ublala, but you know who it is? It's Un. I don't know if you remember the name Un. We had to look it up. But remember when Bug goes to that family and he blesses them, and we find out that some dude was like ended up killing the grandmother, and we were like, it was Garen. And then the son comes home, the grandson, and we were like, it's so weird that like this just feels like a scene that it feels a little out of place. It's him. He shows back up and he kills Garen, so he gets his revenge. And I did like it for that. He just beats the hell out of him. He gets his comeuppance, which
I really like that. Yeah, I get a little mixed up. I thought it was like Ublala who was coming after him, and the things you were talking about was with respect to Shirk. I was like, this is kind of weird. I didn't really think like Garen had much to do with like Shirk's demise. And you know, as far as I know, Shirk's demise is like weird happenstance, basically, with like the fish hitting the rope and everything. We're not meant to believe that there was like a person like Garen, for example, committing foul play. But
we
no,
never
that's
did hear about the last name being Alal and the son's name being Alal.
Well,
right?
I know they're both related to the same person because
wait, who?
Isn't because I thought didn't Rudd say why his name was Alal? It's because of his like adopted dad, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I thought so.
I don't.
Maybe I'm
in that one conversation because we don't see him again.
What chapter was that? Was that 14? 15? I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
I'm curious because all I remember is being like his name is like Rudd Alal, and like we've got Shirk Alal, same spelling. We know obviously that Udnas is the dad.
Yeah. So Rudd Alal believes. Yeah, this is what I know. Believes his father is named Arak Alal.
But Udnas is his father.
Right, but Rudd doesn't know that.
Oh, so he just
Rudd was raised by another father figure, or maybe he wasn't.
I don't think he was because he's only like 7 weeks old.
Well, he is only 7 weeks old. Yeah. But he said he believes his father was a sailor named Arak Alal. He doesn't know that
a sailor.
Actually, he doesn't actually know that the sailor in question is Udnas, right?
Yeah, really, that's super interesting because now we know Shirk is leaving on a boat to be a pirate, and the same last name, and he thinks his father's a sailor. Man, that's time is gonna get funky there, but it's got to be some kind of connection. I wonder if we'll actually get that, or if it's just like a, I don't know. That is. I'm glad we got some kind of something with that.
Yeah, and then I'm going to chapter summary as well, and so, when Rudd come across Udanas and Featherwitch, he told them that he had lived with a rock in Mecro City. He told them the rock and his wife had been Lethery indebted.
The Rock?
Who fled.
The actor?
The Rock, yeah. exactly. Dwayne Johnson.
Dang.
A rock Ilal. And when he was in the 7th week of life, the city was destroyed by ice. He presumed that everyone had died. Only Rudd was saved.
Man, bro's got an exciting 7 weeks of life. My goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so I'm assuming that's how he's like related, right? I'm assuming he's not blood related to Shirk, but
He just
rather
took
that
the last name because he
he
thought.
took the last name. Yeah,
Yeah, but
but
time
I
wise, it's
bet that
still
his
weird.
uncle is related.
Time wise, it's still a little
Or
funky.
what am I
of,
saying?
like,
Uncle father. His father. His adoptive father is related.
to Shirk.
That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just curious if we'll ever get that. There was another naming thing. I was like, Steven Erickson, why, bro? It's like the Kenril Ah and the Kennel Ra. I'm like, bro, come on. What the hell are we doing here? And like, one's the slave of the other. I'm like, how am I supposed to remember which one's which? The Kenril Ah and the Kennel Ra. I'm like, dude, come on. I just can't. And then they've got the tyrant overlords, and I was like, oh great, here we go. But they're called like I got it right here, the Korvala Raj. I'm like, all right, whatever. So at this point, when they're that close, I'm like, I don't care. If it becomes important later on, I'll care. But
there we go.
yeah, we have the two, which because that's, I guess we can kind of talk about the trek to Lether with the Edor, because at one point they find out there's a Forkerless sail loose, and so the brothers kind of go off on another quest, a little side quest, which was great. There's like some brotherly moments, some camaraderie, which was nice. And they take two of these Kenril Ah or Kennel Ra, I don't remember which, two of these demons with them, and yeah, just them going through that city I thought was cool. We get the Forkerl assail, which is named Serenity, I think. I don't have my notes up. I think it's Serenity. Yeah. And we find out that, we've since learned that like the Forkerl assail strive for balance in all things. Yep. And so the Forkerl assail kills Rulad in order to make peace. That means peace for Serenity, because I'm assuming she or he or whatever, it knows what Rulad's all about. But not to the extent of he will come back to life.
Right.
So he kills, or it kills Rulad, and Rulad does do some damage to it, which is just like insta heals, like Wolverine kind of style, and then runs away. Into which the two demons are sent after it while the rest return, and we see those demons again in the epilogue, and they're pissing into a pit in which I'm assuming they threw or trapped this Forkerl assail in. I don't know if we know how, or if it's trapped or it jumped down there to escape and they don't want to go after it. But it seems like they're not going in there. It's really deep and they're peeing on it. So I don't know what it means, but it was, it was, I guess, a little nice to see some kind of conclusion with that. I'm assuming Serenity is going to show up again.
Yeah. Yeah, but I believe the Forkerl assail is down that hole. Yeah, and then they're trapped.
Like kind of trapped.
I don't know. I don't know about being trapped. It's a deep hole, man.
It's a deep hole.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, to be fair though, as we know, if you find a very deep hole, it is important to test it with the urine test.
That's right.
It's mandatory.
They're kind of they're a funny little duo as well. They kind of quit back and forth, which was funny because I wouldn't have expected that from like demons. Yeah, there's still a lot to kind of. I guess there's not that much more to talk about. Ublala professes his love for Shirk, helps fight with a branch, tree branch, helps Ironbars fight and defeat his gods, which is, I guess, notable.
Yeah. Well, and that, like, the setup for that was really cool. He's just like, like, they're fighting my gods. He's like, do you know why we pray to the Serengal? He's like, why? To keep them away.
To keep them away. Yeah, that part was cool. You're right. Yeah. That was sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've kind of covered. Oh, you know what I want to talk about was Hull. Hull's death was really interesting and very like blunt. He like sees I think you're right. I think he doesn't recognize it's T-Hole, but it's someone, and he's going to wait, did he recognize those?
I don't think he recognized it was T-Hole. I think there was like he talks about there being like a pit in his like stomach, I think.
Oh, he like thinks, because he's going to see T-Hole, right?
Yeah.
And it's like out front of his place, so he probably thinks.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And then he basically gets stopped by Narek. And they basically are like, they basically tell him his heart is poisoned because he lives for vengeance, not for forgiveness, and they kill him, which was crazy. I thought that was crazy, but really fitting for Hull. I think in Hull's arc, and it's tragic a little bit. I think tragic a lot a bit, but awesome. Kind of like I was like, oh shit, like, and I will say it did take me like I was like, wait, why would they kill him? And it did take me like rereading it to kind of be like, okay, I kind of see, because even he's confused. He's like, wait a minute, I'm on your side here. And it doesn't really make sense, but then kind of what the whole like, just being poisoned by vengeance is definitely a thing, and I could see it. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I did want to say last time we had part 3, I misspoke. I said that it was Garen Eberic that survived that battle where the queen and prince were captured. It wasn't him. It was Morok.
Yes,
Garen was just like sailing back. It was exactly Morok that survived, came back, and I really enjoyed his arc too. He came back and basically was like disowned for abandoning. Like basically, he should have died protecting the queen and the prince. And then the errant is like, well, hey, you're kind of a disgrace. You know how you can make it up by killing this jet god, which he thinks there's more important things to do, that being killing Rulad and doing the right thing, which ends up being exactly what Rulad wants. And so they duel and kill each other. And he thinks he's like in a great place there. He's like, oh man, this is great. He hasn't even gotten to, and I also think it's great because he recognizes in that moment that Bryce is the real, because before he was like, oh, I should have been the king's guardian, but as he's dying, he's like, this dude doesn't even know what he's in for. He hasn't even met the king's champion.
Well, they even ask him like in his, like as he's dying, they're like, they're shouting King's Champion. Is that what you are? He's like, nope, you haven't even met the guy yet.
Yep. So I thought that was a cool kind of ending for him. I just wanted to make note of that because
and importantly, that is what causes Rulad to ultimately lose. I mean everything really in terms of his sanity, because Udanas is already transformed by the Wyval, and they talk a lot about like Udanas's betrayal, which is not intentional. That's another thing. We don't actually know if Udanas would have intentionally betrayed Rulad because he never gets the choice. The Wyval responds to Silchas' ruin emerging from the hold and takes over, and there's some moments where like they fight some of the Jack Devers and they go over to the hold, but because Rulad doesn't have it like that anchor, like he loses all all grip on his sanity.
I really like Udanas through this part as well, and I do think there is a true friendship between them. I do, yeah. And I really like I was looking back through my notes before we did this video, and I wrote down that like Troll like has a conversation with Udanas and is just like that's cool that you guys are friends. Never betray him. I was like, oh shit, and then that's exactly what they think he does. But yeah, you're right. He has no control over that, and he's like a shell of a being by the end of this book. Like he's on the brink of death. Kettle has to save him with her blood. Which, what does that mean, dude? He's got Wyval blood in him, which maybe is all gone now. He's got the Wraith of Atista that is like, I think still kind of in him, but can also just leave. But now he's got the blood of a Forquil Assail in him.
Dude is a fancy science experiment.
Yeah, for real. It's like, what? This poor guy. He's like, finally, whew, the Wyval's out of me. It's like, little do you know. But yeah, I thought that was cool. His whole story again, right? It's like even if Udanas died right there, right, with the Wyval leaving him, I still would have been satisfied with just like his journey because what he meant to Rulad, and this was set up from the beginning that he was infected with this Wyval, and yeah, I just would have felt satisfied. But I am excited to see what that means now that he's saved with the Forquil Assail blood.
Mhm.
But I'm curious what you think about. We find out, so it's a little confusing, but like fear. At some point, Rulad says like basically gives, which gives or whatever, Mayan back to fear. She's pregnant.
Yep.
He says like, I want you to raise this and raise your son. It'll be your son or your child
Yep.
and whatever, which he agrees to. But Mayan has escaped at a certain point, and when she kills herself, it is with Udinas's dagger. So fear finds her, finds Udinas's dagger in her, and is now traveling with Udinas. But we find out later it was Featherwitch that gave her the dagger.
Mm-hmm.
And Featherwitch's end is very interesting. She's back just in the throne room. She collects some like severed fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like contemplating on that, like having given her the dagger. I would say like if anyone I feel a little unsatisfied, it's with her, and maybe there is like deeper like meaning to, or like what all that could mean. But I don't really know her arc really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, does that mean anything to you that she's there? It seems like she's gonna be. She's still. So she just couldn't break out of the being enslaved. Like in theory, it seems like she could have escaped, but she chose to go to the throne room and be with Rulan again, or what?
Maybe not, because when they were looking for Udinas, they had like rounded up all the slaves. That's why Udinas was supposed to be there. So presumably Featherwitch would have been there as well.
Okay.
And so if there was any chance to escape, it might be like now, but I don't think so. I think there's still other people
That's
there.
true. I guess Udinas only escaped because he fucking transformed into a rival and flew away.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'd have to go back and reread, but as far as like the giving of the dagger, I didn't know whether or not to interpret that as like a way of exacting vengeance for being beaten, or a way of like recognizing that even though Featherwitch was able to escape because of Udinas's intervention, Mayan will never get to escape.
Yeah, it's like almost like a mercy.
Yeah.
I kind of like it like that.
Yep.
Because she's very
That's kinda
Featherwitch
how-
is so bitter
that's
the
how
whole
I thought of
time,
it
and
too.
like that is a nice gesture and a nice way to look at it if that is
Yep.
true.
Yeah.
I did also, I forgot before we stopped talking about Udinas, is I really loved Hull relieving him of his debt. Just like
yeah,
it was
that
great.
was cool. Yeah,
Yeah, it was just a cool moment. And it makes the whole storyline even more tragic. Of like, I do think he, I still root for him, even if he is driven by vengeance. It's like the Lethari people are terrible people, but I get the whole thing of like, to me, I don't think forgiveness is like the right answer, but I also don't think what the Edor are doing is the right answer. They're just conquering the opposite way. It's not like a peace. There's no peace. It's like they're gonna kill and enslave all of the Lethrai people, which is just as bad. So I get why the Narek do it. I don't think that. I guess that really is Hull's kind of intention. But I would, to me, like if Hull presented himself in the way that, like, if I were to sit down, me and Hull, I'd be like, what do you really want? Do you want just Lethari to fall, or do you want all of the people enslaved? Yeah, I don't think he would say, well, I don't really want all the people, common people enslaved, but I do want them to fall so they can no longer conquer other people. And I think there's a lot more nuance to that than what the Narek feel, which is just, they are kind of just like, you are incapable of forgiveness.
Yeah.
You're only driven by vengeance. Therefore, you cannot live.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important to recognize too, like leading up to that moment. I mean, we should recognize that Hull released something, right? Like he joined alongside a force that was arguably just as bad as what the Lethari had done to the Narek and like had done to others. So he's fighting fire with fire.
Yeah.
And he justifies that, but really he does it out of a sense of vengeance, not a sense of justice.
Yeah.
And he's unleashing that against the Lethari people, who are not really, I mean, while the culture has many problems, especially around indebtedness, like they're not to blame for the wars that their government has waged, because it's
Mhm.
very much like, even this one, very much the aspirations, the sort of divine providence that, that they claim it is, right? But it's specifically the royal house that has been motivated. They've been motivating these conquests. And also, Hull has already made peace with the fact that he has effectively ordained his brother to die. Like, he knows that by doing what he's done, he
Bryce ain't gonna
has
make it.
Bryce is gonna die. Like, and he even like makes peace in that heart. Like, by the time he walks into the Letherus, like, he's already
He's
accepted the
like,
fact
yeah,
that
he's already
Bryce is dead.
grieved. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like that's another thing too, is like he chose this like knowing that it would condemn Bryce, who especially like is not accountable for any of this,
Yeah.
right?
I
So
think yeah. I agree. I think it is one of those things though. It's like, well, what's the other option kind of thing? Like, I can see it from his point of view of
yep.
like, well, if we don't do this, like, this is the price to pay for them no longer conquering and continuing to conquer other,
Mm-hmm.
peoples. Not that it makes it right, but
Yep.
yeah, you're right. It is like fighting fire with fire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, what was it? I was gonna say something.
But going back real quick, sorry if I'm
No, yeah,
going to
go.
interrupt your train of thought, but I'm pretty sure though that Fear does know that Udnas did not kill Mayan. He may not know. He doesn't know that Unas wasn't responsible for giving her the knife, but there was there was like the Tista Idor who found Mayan. And they're like, Unas killed Mayan, right? But then it was like, no, like, look at her wounds. Like, it's self-inflicted.
Self-inflicted. Yeah, I think he just thinks
So
like, why did she have his knife? Like, did he give it to her?
Yeah.
But I think when Unas arrives at Saren's house, oh, that's the other thing. It's remind me, it's the Saren throne that I want to talk about.
The Serengeti.
The Serengeti, yeah. I think when Unas shows up, Troll and Fear are like, well, what's he doing here? He abandoned our brother. And I think they either Kettle or one of them does explain like, no, that's not his fault. He was like infected by a Wyval.
Yep.
So that kind of clears some of the air.
I thought
there.
that was Wither that explained that.
Yeah, it may have been Wither. Yeah. So like some of that air is cleared between Udnas and Fear, I would imagine, because Fear is a very changed person by the end. I think Troll voiced a lot of what Fear was feeling, but Fear was driven by like loyalty, I think, and now has finally overcome that and realizes his people are truly lost, and that this is not the path to go down. Which, like, yeah, I just wouldn't have expected. I was not expecting this like type of like arc for Fear, but I really like it. I thought Fear was there to serve the purposes of Troll's arc, but it wasn't. Troll's almost more there to serve the purposes of Fear's arc, which I thought worked really, really cool. But yeah, so the Saren throne thing. So what happens? It happens like in a back-to-back way, and I was like, "What?" So the king sits down. They do the seventh closure. They fulfill the prophecy. He sits the throne in the eternal domicile. They ring the bells, and the seventh closure prophecy has been fulfilled, which we know is not true. The Aaron's like, no, that's just not happening for a couple days. Which I'm assuming is when Rulad sits the throne after, all is said and done. I think that's the seventh closure. But immediately after the king does it, Saren makes it home. She walks in, and she walks in her door, and there's a throne sitting there. They call it like a chair or something. And there's like a bird on the chair. And then she walks over to it, and she just sits down. I was like, oh, shit. Like, is this a throne? Is this an empty throne and Saren's sitting down in it? And then we never talk about it again. I'm assuming it's not, but I thought it was. And I was like,
I took it to be Rulad. But that is fun. Yeah. I didn't think about it. I just assumed it was Rulad.
Just feels like a very intentional, like the way he described the scene. I don't know where. Let's see if I can find it, because I think it might be worth like reading, because maybe she did secretly sit the throne, or a different throne or something. I don't know. It just felt like it was so like meaningful. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, it's the same chapter. It's chapter 22. If you got any other things you're wanting to chat while I'm looking.
There's only like two other things that were on my mind, which was the epilogue was one of them, which is really interesting. We already talked about the demons, but specifically with the island, right? With Withel. That was I'm interested to see what you thought about that. And then
Sorry, I
I
missed
don't.
it, but I did find it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm just gonna read basically a couple paragraphs. So the avowed and his mage swung themselves back into their saddles. The troop rode off. Saren watched them for a moment, then turned about and walked up the path. The key to the elaborate lock was under the second flagstone, which is hilarious. She just like keeps her key under the flagstones like a normal human. The door squealed when she pushed it back, and the smell of dust swept out to engulf her. She entered, shutting the door. Gloom and silence. She did not move for a time, the corridor stretching before her. The door at its end was open, and she could see into the room beyond, which was lit by cloth-filtered sunlight coming from the courtyard at the back. A high-backed chair in that far room faced her, draped in muslin cloth. One step, then another, on down the corridor. Just before the entrance to the room, the moldering body of a dead owl, lying as if asleep on the floor. She edged round it, then stepped into the room, noting the slight breeze coming from the broken window where the owl had presumably entered from the courtyard. Ghostly furniture to either side, but it was the chair that held her gaze. She crossed to it then, without removing the cloth. She sat down, the muslin drawing inward as she sank down into the seat. Blinking, Saren looked about. Shadows, silence, the faint smell of decay, the lump of the dead owl lying just beyond the threshold. Saren Pedax, Empire, she whispered, and she had never felt so alone. I don't know, dude. That seems like I was like, oh shit, what she just sat in a throne? Like, I don't know if it's the throne. And then I was convinced, no, it's not because of the thing. But reading that again,
it's very cool. It's very
know.
cool imagery.
It's cool
Yeah,
imagery, even if it's just like a parallel kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just it feels like the timing's off, because presumably
it's happening like the same day as the king sitting it, where the errant is like, no, the real one's happening. He does say in 2 days. So it's like, could this be a different throne though? Because we know a lot of them are empty.
Yeah, we just don't know much about Saren. That's the thing. We need to know more. Well, she's got some cool. She's got some stuff going on.
Because if she did, if that was her, I mean, also the cloth was on it, so maybe the cloth prevented it from actually like, wasn't but deceit kind of thing. I don't know. It just feels like too very much like she's looking down a long hallway. There's sunlight coming in onto a chair that holds her gaze. It's like a weird dead owl. I don't know what the owl means, but maybe it means something. And she chooses to sit. She's like, I'm ignoring. This is calling to me. I need to sit. And she calls herself the Empress, or it calls it her empire, and she sees shadow and stuff. I don't know. It just seems a little like maybe there's more to it. Maybe there's more to it. And I'm okay with either way. Like for her, I don't know what it would mean either way. I hope we get more of that crew. Seems like we'd have to, but maybe it is in a different, like a one-off kind of book or whatever. Maybe that's the Knight of Knives, the book that people suggest reading in between or something. But yeah, I don't know. I did think like
cool.
I was like, oh shit, she's the Empress. Like that's crazy, especially with like her character arc and what all that would mean. I just was like, I was like, oh shit. I had to sit and be like, what the heck? I was not expecting that. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah,
you brought up a funny idea though about the fact that the cloth might have prevented.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's told Shadowthrone that yet, that he could just put a cloth over the seat.
Yeah. I don't know what is like. I don't know if it's pronounced muslin. It's a type of fabric. It's just like a fabric. Yeah, I'm looking it up. Oh, sorry, that's probably blocking our cameras. It is, yeah. It's just like a weird. It's like it's like when like in like a haunted house movie and they go in, there's like the white cloth
Yeah,
draped
yeah, of
over
course.
everything. It's just that. That's what it looks
Yep.
like.
Yep.
So I don't know. Could be.
Mhm.
Could be. She's been gone. She hasn't been home for a long time.
Mhm.
It is a little strange. I did find that strange that like no one's looted this place, or no one's broken in all this time. Not that there's looters, but like just an abandoned house for years. It seems like she's not been there. I'm surprised no one had broken in, and maybe that's for a reason. So yeah, something cool to think about, I guess. But all right, yeah. What were you talking about with Withel or Wither? Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Withel, the epilogue.
the epilogue. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
Those are super,
Mail
that
showing
was
up.
the coolest. Like, yeah, Vale shows up. He's like, hold on a second. I gotta go
Just like,
beat up a god.
yeah, I gotta go beat up a guy, and he's like, I can't remember exactly what it does, but I imagine him just walking up and like kicking the tent or whatever, or like body slamming the tent.
Yeah.
I'm just like, hell
It's
yeah.
just like WWE's attack. Just like, oh.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, I thought that was awesome. And the visual of like this big storm brewing and like this small little ship sailing up and then it ends up being Bug. You're like, hell yeah. Like that shit was awesome. Yeah, I
It also
love
just
it.
cracks me up too, where like the storm's brewing and Withel's like, you know what I could do? He just knocks the tent over.
Yeah, it just knocks the tent over. Yeah, I love
runs to the beach.
Yeah. He's like, oh, the Noct have been trying to teach me. Yeah, I thought it was great. Same thing with Withel. Like, right, if this is the end of his story, I feel very satisfied. I feel a lot less satisfied with whatever Sandalath. It's gotta be more with that. Maybe she's with Mael or continues to be with Withel. Because we know that he's from Mekros, which is also the city where
that's where
Rudd is from.
Mm.
Is seemingly the only way to leave this place is by boat. So maybe he becomes like the sailor or something.
Well, and I don't know if we can say that specifically. That there might be more to it. Like I think it's important to note that it is a boat captained by a god, right? An elder god.
Yeah.
So like there may be more to it. Like and like Mael is like I believe like the god of the sea, right?
Yep.
Because we even like saw that like his warren is like the depths of the ocean.
Yeah, which he sent somebody there. That was sick.
Yeah, because I was saying he blew up 14 eater, but he blew up 13. But like the one who's like on top of T-hole, he like sent to the warren, and then like he's just like basically like sinking like Artie in like the deepest depths of the sea, right?
I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think that did for even a moment did you believe that T-hole died? It definitely tries to make you think. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. So like I would when there was a moment when I wasn't sure if it was T-hole or Chalice.
Yes,
but I never thought it was both that were dead.
Same, yeah.
And so, but I kind
think
of
that's
assumed like,
it seemed like that was the point of like a skull gets crunched and you're like, oh my god, please no, don't let it be T-hole. But if it is, to me, it's like I'm glad it wasn't. There was a part of me, I would say I was like 25% no way, or sorry, 25% he did die and 75% no way. Because it just like would not be satisfying if he did. But I think there is a lot of like, that's life, buddy. That's what happens. Sometimes you turn into a bird and you leave the story and then you never come back and you make your readers hate you for it. And that's just what happens sometimes. But yeah, I was like, he did a couple of those little cliffhangers, which he doesn't normally do.
Yeah.
But he hit us with a couple of them, all involving T-hole, by the way, which I thought was fun.
Yeah,
they're fun.
I was trying to look over my notes to see if there was in the chapter summaries to see if there was anything else that was on my mind. The other one that was on my mind we actually did talk about while we were going through that. So yeah, I think I feel like we've kind of covered all the main ones. I guess the last thing I'll just say is I Teal and Bug are some of my favorite characters. I do feel like the storyline with I remember the other thing I was going to talk about, but real quick, the storyline with Troll, Fear, Benedas, Rulad, like with the brothers, and the contrast between the two brothers. I think that is like the best arc of the entire book. The contrasting of the brothers and the resolution of like them as brothers, right? And then specifically with like Troll and Fear, I think it's just for me that was like one of the best arcs in the entire book, and I was really happy with that.
Yeah,
Yep.
No, I would agree. I also thought like going into part 4, I was like, oh, it just makes so much sense that Bryce and Roulette are gonna duel. Like it just makes so much sense. They're both the youngest brothers, and like I just thought the whole like parallels that they had been he had been painting the whole time and continued to. I thought and it all coming down to kind of that moment was sweet. I did really enjoy it.
So then the last thing that I wanted to mention was like going through the story, I kind of had my suspicions for like how Troll will end up being exiled, but now it's not like I don't know, like maybe it seems obvious, but like to me it no longer really seems obvious like how he's going to get exiled.
Well, I did write down
like the reason for it seems obvious, but like and maybe I just need to go back and read the prologue, but like the way I picture that prologue doesn't really fit where we are now.
Yeah, he wants to go back and save Roulade.
Yep.
He still loves his brother, wants to save. He realizes his brother is suffering and wants to try and save him. But notably, what we didn't talk about was leading. At one point, Roulade goes off and does something, which we find out. Let me see if I can find it in my notes. Where is it? So yeah, Roulette has been traveling, quote unquote, and claims to have done something terrible to achieve an alliance which will come to fruition outside of Lethris, which we then learn is he drowned a fragment of Corald Emerlin, so that because now their quest or whatever to conquer is they are going to travel and find champions that will kill him over and over to make him stronger and stronger. And so in the prologue of House of Chains, I think it is, Troll says their people are searching for something. And I'm assuming that is these champions that they can go into fighting Roulade. And I think it just sounds like he tries to reveal that they are serving a false god, the crippled god or something, and gets exiled for it. That's kind of how I picture it going forth. They're going to go into Corald Emerlin, just like they said they were going to, and they're going to start finding these champions to fight Roulade, to kill him, to make him stronger. And I think Troll basically is just going to kind of speak up and be like, this is not, look what our people are doing. This is not what our people should be doing. So I think ultimately he's just going to fail at his task to save his brother. And that's why he ends up there. And I don't know if we'll ever get the like actual specifics of it. For me, I don't know if I really, I would love to get it, but I can see how he gets there for sure. Because I do think they set up the flooded warren and everything.
So it's not like it's. I mean, I like I said, it's still as obvious like in terms of the reasoning behind why it would be there, but it's just like the framing. So like here's from the prologue House of Chains. It says this is Troll being dragged out by his brothers. It says the familiar voice broke the silence. We will speak of him now, and once we have left this place, he will cease to be our brother. So that's the brothers referring to Troll.
I'm assuming we will speak just Benedaz and Roulade. Obviously, Fear is
right. That's what's weird is like so it says we will speak of him now, and the others intoned. So we will speak of him now, the others intoned. Then one added, "He betrayed you." The first voice was cool, revealing nothing of the gloat that Troll Singar knew would be there, which we would assume is Roulade. You say he betrayed me. He did, brother. What proof do you have by his own tongue? It is just you who claims to have heard such betrayal spoken. So it is just you who claims to have heard such betrayal spoken.
This is Roulade saying to Benedus?
Yeah. No, I too heard it, brother. And I. Implying that there's two people there. In addition to Roulade.
In addition to Benedus. Two other people agree, it says, right?
No, because it's he did, brother. That was presumably Benedus. Mm-hmm. What proof do you have? That would be Roulade. by his own tongue. That would be Benedus. Is it just you who claims to have heard such betrayal spoken? That would be Rulad.
Mm-hmm.
No, I heard it too, brother. That would
Third
have to be
person.
somebody.
Yep.
That would be a third person.
And I.
And I.
Fourth person.
Yeah, which would be a fourth person, or it would be Benedus reiterating. But presumably, yeah, a fourth person.
So,
And
but
what did
only
our
one of
brother
them
say
calls
to
him
you?
brother.
Yep.
The and I, we don't know. That could be anybody. It could be their father.
It could be anybody.
Because we know
Yep.
the father's with them as well, and
Yep.
the mother.
Mhm.
Yeah, interesting. It just
Yep.
it doesn't make sense for it to be fear.
Yep. But there could be like adoptive brothers, or it could be a more general term of like the Tistaita referring to each other as brothers.
I could see it being like that. It definitely seems like Benedus for sure. Because he's really been separate from this the whole time. Really, like he doesn't really see what's truly going on. And I could totally see Troll trying to have the same type of conversations he had with Fear with Benedus, and Benedus not buying into that. So yeah, that is really, really interesting. Yeah, maybe like the Chancellor becomes like a brother, to him or something, or surely not Hanan Masag. I mean, we don't technically we don't get his end, but like I cannot imagine Rulad lets him live. But maybe in agony, like he was gonna let him live, like as a slave, essentially. But I, mean, I feel like he's too dangerous.
I mean, it could still work if it's just Benedus, Rulad, and like maybe it's just like one of the captains who always had a problem with who had a problem with Troll.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So, but I guess one element from the prologue that is kind of interesting now is it says worse, which is referring to Benedus. This is Benedus speaking, I assume. He spoke to defend the new enemies we had found. The new enemies we had found.
So probably a champion they were trying to get to kill Rulad, right?
Yep, he did. He called them the pure kin and said we should not kill them.
Ooh, the Tis Leosin, you think?
Could be. And he says, and had they been in truth pure kin, then they would not have died so easily. So that could be referring to the Tista Andi or the Tista Leosin.
Yeah, but the pureness sounds more like Leosin, because they don't like the Andi, and Rulad's still up to this point. Because even when he dies to Morok, he goes back to the crippled god, and this one we don't get a whole lot, but we do get him seeing Sandalath on the beach and calling her like, "What's this traitor doing here?" Because she's an Andi. So I can't imagine they would ever call the Andi pure.
Right, but Troll is there who meets the Leosin. So if they're the pure kin, then why isn't that brought up? Because this is the prologue of House of Chains, so presumably this is the book where Troll Singar meets the Leosin. So if he was referring to them as pure kin, why didn't it come up?
Did it though? I don't remember. When the Leosin get introduced, it's kind of like a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's like Troll's also with a Talani Moss.
Yep.
An exile Talani Moss. They show up. Yeah, so they may have. Because I think we were trying to put the pieces together of like who these guys were at that point. So yeah, maybe they did. I can't remember what happens because there's that bridge fight and like they're gonna fight and kill each other, but then they don't because they're gonna use his blood to open a portal or something. I don't remember, but yeah,
I thought that they weren't. I thought that they he didn't have like a high opinion, but I could be wrong.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, maybe they rat him out or something. I don't remember. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, I was gonna say something else too. Dang it. Damn. It was important. I forget now. It was something else that we didn't talk about in this book.
So, but I don't have anything else. Those are all the things that are on my mind.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll remember right afterwards, but I can just let you know if I remember. Dang it. Oh, yes, I do remember now. just it's not that important actually. Now that I remember it, but I did find it cool and notable that the Fork Roll of Sail just snapped the they call it the what do they call it, Blackwood.
Yes. Yep.
And just like it was nothing. This is like
Yep.
really intense wood that is like not breakable really, and it's just like I was like, oh shit, these Fork Roll of Sail, they're gonna be bad news bears. We got 2 in the wild now, 3 with Kettle, but I don't think Kettle will ever fully transform. At least I hope not, because I think Kettle dies basically when that happens and the Fork Roll of Sail comes forth. But we've got Serenity, who's in theory trapped in a pit, getting pissed on, and then we got the one from House of Chains prologue that's just out there. Did that one say its name? I'm assuming they all have names like that. Serenity, Zen.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if that name came up.
I wonder. Yeah, I can't remember if it introduced itself. But I'm really interested in this race, the Fork Roll of Sail, of just like
same.
balance. You know, that is what we strive for, is just balance. And they can kind of see somehow.
Oh, calm.
Yeah, calm, serenity. Yeah. But they're like extremely violent when they need to be. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be curious to I guess before we go, I will say I was gonna ask, where do you think we're going next? Because I have no idea.
That's the thing, is like I don't know. Like, I mean, can we continue from here? Do we need to jump to somewhere else first? Like,
I don't think we can. I will say I think we go back to present. My guess would be I think we've been away from the Talani Moss too long. I think we got to get some Talani Moss back, whether that's with Trull and Onrak, whether it's with Tool. I don't like Tool and his sister. They're like going north wherever the fuck they are. I don't remember anymore. Then there's also like the other Talani Moss that are going to Assail. I could see that. I could see us going to Assail and dealing with what's there before getting everyone back together. Or I don't know if we'll ever get everyone back together. There may not be like a final place, you know. This might be continent spanning in its entirety, which I'm okay with. Like, but yeah, I don't really know. We've got the Karsa and I can't. Do you remember where it got left off with Troll? They were like being escorted into by like the kid, the demon, the Ankh or something like that. I can't remember his name. The kid that rides the demon in the children army. They were like protecting the throne, and they were like escorting Trull and Onrak in to see it. I don't know. I can't remember if they were going to. I don't remember why they were going there either. Honestly, just so I don't know if we're gonna go back with them. Karsa's doing his thing. Honestly, it's been a while since we've been with like. I think no matter what, we're getting some Malazan army. We have got to go back to Malazan army in this next book. It's called Malazan Book of the Fallen. So I do think, right, if I'm thinking of like Steven Erikson as a master writer, right, he's orchestrating this series of 10 books, and this came as book 5, it would only make sense. We've gotten the hint of an emperor that can't be killed or whatever in previous books. It would only make sense for the Malazan to encounter Rulad in the next book, in one way or another. I think that would make a whole lot of sense. For otherwise, why give us this book here? It's great.
That's true.
But like as far as sequence of publishing and writing, why give us this book here? Unless it, it could have just been like, ooh, this is a cool story. Let me start writing this. And it's just like, I'm going to write that. This is the next book.
No, I mean, like ultimately the whole clash is about the crippled god. So, I mean, we've now launched another piece. Like, I think the seventh closure is with Rulad, and I think that he's in a very important piece for the house of the crippled god, for the House of Chains. And I think, like you said, I think we almost have to go forward. It's hard for me to picture like what could happen next between this and Gardens of the Moon in terms of timeline that like we need to visit before jumping to the present time to continue this narrative with the crippled god and like what's happening in like what we consider to be current time.
I don't. Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
would guess we're never gonna get that. Personally,
The between
yeah,
yeah, I don't think so either. I
Yeah.
think we jump forward and we take this and we now continue on with this story of what's happening in this conflict around the crippled god, and like also like burn sleep and things like that.
Yep.
I did go check like the notes for Troll,
Mhm.
and Onrak was the Talani Mas.
Yep.
And yeah, they went with Apt and the demon.
Apt.
Or sorry, Apt is the demon and Pennek is the boy.
Yes. Yep.
And they're going after the first throne. But notably, that is also the chapter where Troll encounters an Aries woman who steals his seed.
Yeah. Yep.
She's another semen demon.
Freaking semen demons are all over the place.
So
Oh, yeah, they were the extinct race that they intentionally like lied to Troll about, the Talani Mas, that he's traveling with. Like, yeah, they're extinct, and then immediately she shows up and is like, "I'm gonna rape you," and then pieces out.
Yeah. But we've seen that happen with Udanas, and then it happens with Troll. So that's interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah. I hope we get a little bit more of you know who I really want to see again is the keeper of that lighthouse. I don't know why that has been just stuck. Like, who is that guy, and what was he piecing together? It just seems like we gotta get him again, right? He's got to be someone important. Maybe it's could it have been like male? It was an older guy that had like way more strength than he was letting on. He's just kind of like at a lighthouse surrounded by ocean. Like, could have been, but it is notably inside of the warren, the fractured warren.
Yeah. Was that Memories of Isa that came up, or is that House of Chains?
House of Chains.
Yeah.
Because it's when it's in part 1 when they're like they chain Karsa up to the boat, to the mast, and then the storm comes and I think they're all like separated, and then he washes up on shore and finds them. I think. So I think it is in part 1 of House of Change, just like at the tail end of it. I just don't. Are you googling it? Don't spoil anything if it's a spoiler.
I don't know. I'm looking at the chapter summaries for House of Chains. It would have been it would have to be Cold Iron, right? Because it's not. Book 1 of House of Chains is only about
Karsa.
Karsa.
Yeah, that's when he runs into him. It's Karsa.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different.
It would have been part 1. Pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah. They find land, shark attack, dead Borg. They find land. Karsa and Torvald go down the beach after seeing a light and come across Bienrock, or Keeper, who keeps a lighthouse in which is stored the skeleton of a Leviathan. They are in this is after they are back in the real world now. They're not in a warren. They are in Arath, the forest on the peninsula 15 days east of Erliton on the north coast of 7 cities. With supplies and money from Keeper, Torvald and Karsa head towards Erliton so they can find passage home. I mean, yeah, he's just like a dude.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember him being old, but like I can't remember, but he like beats up on Karsa, and they're like, "Oh shit!" Like he's stronger than he looks.
That's right. Yeah.
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 So it could be nothing, but it just seems like a weird little encounter. Like he's building the skeleton of a Leviathan like in a fucking museum or something, but it's in a lighthouse. So it could be fun, but that name is definitely not.
No, the Keeper, and he was. This was the thing I was trying to find in the chapter summary, because I remembered him being Napan, and that was what I found in the chapter summary was he was the Keeper. He's a Napan.
I can't. Is Napan what the like the blue skinned people?
Yep, and that's what the Empress is, and that's also like what like Decim Ulter was. I'm pretty sure. I think I'm saying the right person, but like like the first sword of the Empire.
Yeah.
Because remember, like there was a lot of remember the Empress was like part of like royalty and Napan, but then there was the coup, and then and then exactly.
Kellenvad's like family. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. So okay, that definitely makes it interesting as far as who that could be. But okay, I guess it doesn't have anything to do with this book. But that was fun to think about. I can't wait for a reread, dude. I can't wait. It's gonna be fun. I do really want to reread this one like right now. I truly think like stepping back, I think this is the best fantasy book I've ever read. I can't think of a book that does what this one does in just like a self-contained way. Even though it's not self-contained, but it feels self-contained for the most part. Yeah, I just think I would like love to dive back in with Bree. Like I just want it's one that like with like Memories of Ice. I think right now if I had to order them, it would be this Memories of Ice. Ooh, I think Dead House Gates would edge out House of Chains, but real close. Then House of Chains, then Gardens of the Moon. But like with all of the other ones, even with Memories of Ice, I feel like I would say that there are moments that I found to be like, I remember when they're traveling from Coral or wherever they're traveling from one city to another. They're just kind of like traveling for quite a while. And I remember thinking like I think this could have been a little bit shorter. Like traveling on the rafts and stuff to go to that final battle. It's a lot of just traveling and not even like super interesting traveling. And I was like, that probably could have been cleaned up. And it's a little just like in the best way, like in the Malazan way, messy. You know what I mean? Like it's a little messy. Where this one I feel like felt the least amount messy. Even though there's still a lot of mess in there. It felt the easiest to like brush aside. And that could just be we're 5 books in and I've kind of learned the process.
Right. Yep.
I'm not really sure, but man, I just that's how I would rank things right now. Do you know how you would rank yours? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, so I think for me, like I think Memories of Ice is still number one in terms of all of the books we've read so far. And then I think after that I would probably put House of Chains and then Dead House Gates, and then closely followed by Gardens of Moon and Midnight Tides.
This is your
I mean,
least favorite? You're sick. You're sick.
I think like I've said this before, like I think objectively Dead House Gates and Midnight Tides are better than Gardens of Moon. I think like as a book, as a novel, it's not as well written as the rest of them. But I think that I don't know. I think that I would still enjoy reading Gardens of the Moon again. And I think that I would enjoy Midnight Tides, but I think the things that irk me now would still irk me on a reread. Whereas like there is like nothing that really like irks me about Gardens of the Moon.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think the difference with Gardens of the Moon in terms of why I would say it's like not objectively as well written is because the payoffs for the story are not as high, right? Like
for Gardens
like
or for Midnight?
For Gardens, like Midnight Tides builds something that is like more epic, and it builds a few stories that are more meaningful, and there's a symmetry that's like especially neat about the particular story. Whereas like Gardens of the Moon is as complicated as like Malazan story normally is, and it being your first one, you're definitely like put in the deep end.
Yeah.
It doesn't build the same type of things. It still has very cool storylines, like with the fall of the city and with
the Fett.
Oh my god, the Fett. But like Piran, Whiskey Jack, the assassin who's
Absolar.
No, not Absolar. The one from Cutter's. Callum's like Cutter's like friend.
Cutter's friend.
The one who goes into the house of the Azath.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. We've never revisited him. I think maybe we mentioned his name like one time since.
See, to me, I feel like he was like kind of like not forgettable character, but like, I mean, we've seen him one more time, but he's just been like sleeping.
Well, we just don't know what happened to him, but like, I like the fact that, like, the conclusion of that story is we find out that, he's basically been spending his time as an assassin, like because he's been trying to be out of like the guild, right? Like he's kind of in the guild, but he's like not like in the guild. Like he's like one of their best ones, but he doesn't always do. He's always got like kind of a problem with authority. But like we find out that like the entire time he's actually been trying to avenge the injustice that was done to his friend,
yeah.
who was like a noble. And
start with an M, maybe.
I'm looking it up real quick. There's
Yeah, what the hell was his name?
I'm just reading the wasn't it not the last chapter where there's Crocus, Rallic. Was it Rallic?
Moralic. Yes, Moralic.
No, Rallic. Rallic, yeah, Rallic Nom.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, Rallic Nom.
Mm-hmm.
And who was the guy that was the secret, like actual like royalty that was like a big reveal? Do you remember his name?
Yeah. So they're friends.
Dude, Malazan trivia would be so funny. Malazan trivia, but only people that have read the series once. That shit would be so funny. Everyone would be like,
people trying to guess names.
Yeah. What was the name of the man that sat beside the lake while it froze?
Yeah.
Who but?
I think you're thinking of Murillo, who was like their openly.
He was like the badass, like dueler, right? Or is that someone else?
I don't know if Murillo was a badass dueler.
He's
he was like he was the well endowed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, friend, yeah.
I'm trying to think of like some things that like. I think the thing with Gardens of the Moon for me was like, I didn't know what to. Part of me thinks I think part of me thinks I will enjoy it more on a reread, but I do think the annoyances might come out more on a reread because I didn't know what to be annoyed by at that point, because I didn't know anything. Where like I could see on a reread, right? There's this Jagged in this Barrow, and you're like, oh shit, like we can't let him escape, and then he escapes, and then he immediately gets defeated, and like I could see like we spent a lot of the book building to this, and it's just like, and maybe I don't know, maybe it won't bother me at all, but I remember thinking like, oh, this is it, he's the bad guy of the series, he's here, and then immediately he's just like, wait, I don't like these dragons, I don't like them. And then gets destroyed by an acorn.
Cole was the guy.
Cole.
Yeah,
okay.
It's Crocus, Rallic Nom, Murillo, and Cole. And, and obviously, Crip.
Crip.
So, but yeah. So I don't know. Like I will say also too, like right now, after having read what we've read, it's very easy to be excited about going back and reading Gardens of the Moon because we have 5 books under our belt now. So going back to read it like could only be better than the first time. Whereas like we have no new information to go reread Midnight Tides.
Yeah.
Whereas like I may feel really excited about reading Midnight Tides once we get a few more books in.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I would say like it's
part
still.
of me thinks we won't though. I think that's maybe why I like it so much is like. When I look at this as like a 10-book series, I think this book relies on you having knowledge of the other 9 books the least. It's almost so good it could be read as a standalone to me, where I think a lot of the other books really rely on you having other information to like get it. Which doesn't make it objectively, better or worse. I think just for my taste, I think that's why this book really stood out to me. It's like I felt extremely grounded the whole time. There was a couple of moments where I was like, I don't really know what's going on. But I've learned to just be okay with that. But I do think overall there was a lot less of that, and it was way less important here, where the main story that was trying to be told to me was told, I think, with the least amount of flaws. Where I look at something like Memories of Ice, and like the highs of Memories of Ice I think are higher.
Yeah.
Like the Ikovian stuff, and that whole siege of that city was awesome. But
there's
some,
like and then like Ikovian, then the whole thing with like the beast holes and
the beast hole, pretty much from there to the end.
The burial of Ikovian, like it's just that's another thing is like the story of Ikovian and the story of Coltane I think are like two of the coolest stories that have come out so far. Like those were just like, that's like peak. I mean, it definitely goes in. If we were talking about peak stories or peak arcs in the last, like those two are up there.
I agree. Yeah,
And
but Kovian's not in the book for the first couple hundred pages. To me, it's like we get at Kovian from the beginning, and like I agree. I do think Kovian has top tier arc. But I remember when we first started part 2 of Memories of Ice, I was like, I don't know what the hell any of this is. You're the Destrian. What the fuck is a Destrian? These are all new characters. What's going on here? We're like, that makes a whole lot less sense in a part 2 than like here, part 1. We are like, who are all these people? I don't know, but just trust me, we're setting up all these characters you're going to be with for the rest of the story. And to me, I feel like that's a more of a flawless execution than we're going to introduce. And I think Coltane follows the same. Like Coltane, we get really throughout the entire book, where Kovian's like almost a side character that just shines. He shines to the brightness of a main character, but kind of is a side character at the end of the day. Where I think Coltane is more of a main. I don't know, more of a main force. I guess he's not really a main character either, but is a more driving force. Because really, I think like Duker is the main character in the chain of dogs, really. Where it's like we get to view Coltane through his eyes, which makes Coltane so awesome.
Yeah, but even like I mean, like cool, like Duker and Hebrick, like how that all shakes out, and like the fact that they like almost meet but don't, right? Like there's like these moments. The last thing I will say too, in terms of just like where the rankings fall out, is because this is the last little bit that I was thinking about when I was talking to my wife about it. Is I think this was also the first book for me where Erickson did this setup for the middle and then set up for the end, where a lot of the other books have felt like we've been setting up for the end from the beginning, where we're carrying through, like we're carrying stuff through. Like I honestly do wonder, like if you were to break this book in half, like book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, like how much would you need from the first 2 parts for the last 2 parts? Because a lot of the setup for book 1 and going into book 2 is concluded by the end of book 2. Like in
I
this,
think
right?
plot wise maybe, but the parts 3 and 4 don't make sense unless I see the character changing.
You need to know the characters for like the character development, right? And like you need the time with them, you need the experience with them, you need to kind of get to know who they are. But like in terms of the pieces that are set up, like in books 1 and book 2, all pretty much all of those plot lines are either concluded by the end of the meeting or are not concluded or don't come to their intended at that time resolution, meaning that the resolution we were set up for in those books is not the resolution that we get by the end, right? And so I think for me that is like kind of an interesting element about this particular story. Because I'm just trying to think.
I don't know if I feel the same personally.
Like, because Rulad, we get an important setup for Rulad, but his arc by the end of book 2 only begins, right? Troll and Fear aren't really changing position so much as characters, but rather now we can understand a little bit better about their complicated relationship because of what we saw with them, right? Which that complicated relationship will be obviously important going into books 3 and book 4. But you get to see the elements of that relationship in those books as well. Right? You just get to understand a little bit more of the context for that. Mayan, like obviously knowing that she was like Fear's betrothed, but like that obviously helps you to understand the better relationship. But the fact that she's being beaten and things like that already kind of, I mean, well, not being beaten, but like the relationship that Rulad has with her, right? Udnas and Featherwitch are kind of a different relationship for book 3 and book 4 than book 1 and book 2. Obviously, we get to understand a little bit more about how that happened, but the change in that is jarring and doesn't even make sense really until we get the revelation in book 3 that Featherwitch had summoned the Wavall. right? Which we know a lot about the Weevil by that point because we've been seeing Udenas and Wither in book 3. So, um, yeah, I just like I do like wonder how much was resolved in the last part, like in book 4 that we just read, that was set up from the beginning. Whereas with pretty much, I would say almost all of our books so far, Malazan, that has been one of the really consistent strengths, other than, or maybe not other than House of Chains, but like there's always stuff being built up from the beginning that comes to its firm conclusion in the end, right? There's stuff that's like being constantly built up, carried through. Whereas it did feel like a lot of the build up from book 1 going to book 2 did kind of resolved. It didn't go. I don't think it all went away, but there was like definitely a big pressure release, like right at the end of book 2, which I
Just
don't
with like
think that
him
was
ascending to the
Rulai
undead.
becoming the emperor and the war breaking out, right? Like knowing the conclusion of that event, because a lot of the drama had coalesced around that meeting, right? Because like all like like how we get introduced to Bryce, how we get introduced to Garen, how we get introduced to T-Hole, like all of these sort of elements are, well, and Hole, right, and Baruch and Saren, like the characters all get introduced because of their relationship to this meeting, and then that meeting happens in book 2.
Yeah,
So
I hear what you're saying. To me, though, I just view this book as the whole thing flows together as one, where
yep,
none of the other Malazan books do. For me,
yep,
in this way, to where like to me, I agree. I think him for whatever reason deciding he needs to make every book into 4 parts is almost at this book's detriment. Like, take out the parts. It doesn't need them. Just let me read it like a book, because that's what this book feels like. It just feels like a novel where like the parts in the other books feel a little more formulaic and consistent with each other. Where yeah, I would agree. I think there is some pressure relief in part 2, but only when I think about it as like part 1, 2, 3, and 4, how I view each of those. But if I take those parts out, like the actual, like just uh, the page that's part 1, part 2, part
yep,
3, part 4, I think this story flows as a whole better than any of the others, and I think that's why it
yep,
worked so much for me. Because to me, this is the most simple story too. It's a story of
yep,
war and conquest, and people rising up to conquer the conquerors. But it's really, I think, and maybe that's just me as like a character driven reader. This has, I think, the best character work in it consistently, from start to finish, to where I could really latch onto the characters and everything that happens. Because it's such a simple plot, I care so much more because I care about the characters. It is simple in plot, but I'm so attached to some of these characters that even a plot in this simplicity has a lot of more depth to it than it would. Where with the rest of the Malazan books, I'm like, there's a lot more like cool, like oh so cool, like cool factor. Which this maybe doesn't have as much of that cool factor, but it feels just a lot more tight in its execution for me. But like I hear what you're saying with the parts. This was the first one other than like House of Chains with the part 1, kind of like breaking the formula a little bit, which and personally I would like it to continue to see. I think once a series becomes formulaic, I think it can only be to its detriment, because then you start predicting things, and like I'd rather him continue to catch us off guard and just like write the story you want to write. That's what worries me a little bit about the part. Not enough for any to actually be worried, but like I don't know why we have to do this 4-part thing. I just don't.
yeah, that's true.
I don't know why we have to do that.
Yeah,
This is the first
I
book where I was
definitely
like,
agree.
does not matter.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's ultimately to the book's detriment more than it is to the book's help.
It's great for our
Yeah,
video series, though. I will say, maybe he's looking out for us.
Yeah, it's probably he was looking ahead.
Yeah.
And I will say this. I don't mean this to detract from what you're saying. But I was gonna say that I think there is an element, a subjective element in there. It's kind of different between the two of us. Not to, again, I don't want to like take away, because it could obviously be seen as like I'll say one thing, you'll say something. I'm like, that's your opinion, man. That's not what I mean here.
No.
But like, But I would say like the subjective element I think is because I've thought about this before with like how we read is with like the way I like consume media and the way I have engaged with series before, I'm definitely a lot more lenient and comfortable with the need for the next book, right? Like the setting up that's going to be carried into the next book. And so just because like I'm also the guy who will like wait for a show to be done or multiple seasons to be done to like watch all of it, right? But I'm totally okay with like a fantasy book not being self-contained. And I don't, and like that's what I talked about earlier, the subjective element of like how do you identify the things that are intended to be fulfilled here versus fulfilled later. I think there is a lot of merit in being able to write a self-contained novel. I read far fewer single novels than I read series books. It's not serious, series books. Right?
I only read series books.
But I read far fewer self-contained novels than I do like like sequels or trilogies or cycles or things like that. And so I'm very used to that element. And I will say that that element is not necessarily a good element. Like again, not to harp on Brandon Sanderson, but like
we gotta.
I love the way that Malazan does theirs. I don't like the typical formulaic trope of we end with a big bad and the cliffhanger. Well, no, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but we end with a big bad, and then the cliffhanger is there's a bigger bad.
I see.
Right, which is like very common, like archetype. Like it's I watch a lot of anime. It's all in anime. It's like it's in a lot of fantasy series. It's in sci-fi series. Like it's a very very common archetype of like raising the ceiling. I'm not a huge fan of like letting that be a crutch for continuing a series. Whereas like Steven Erikson like very clearly does not keep doing that, right?
But the Jagged in book one, a little bit of that.
No, so I'm saying but it hasn't been from book 1 to book 2, book 2 to book 3, book 3 to book 4, book 4 to book 5, right?
Yeah.
It's not a constant build up, right? And whereas many like fantasy series do fall into that trap. Like it builds up until it can't build up any bigger, and then that's the end of the series.
Yeah. Seriously.
And like, but whereas like now with Malazan, like you get this like Midnight Tides. Like we're not at all doing that, right, with this book. And so I think that there's a lot of merit in like being able to write a strong, self-contained novel, and it is, I will say, I guess it's technical. It is hard to like differentiate between the merit in that and the significance of that versus the significance of the multi-book payoff, right? And like I mean that is like I will say like I know for myself that is like Memories of Ice will be a very hard book to knock off for me as number one. Because not only does it have one of my favorite character arcs in Akovian, but like there's also a big multi-book payoff, so
yeah, I'd be curious to see. It'll be fun to talk about this again because seemingly roulette, right? We're gonna be dealing with roulette at some point, and what we will when I think about it, like right, because we in I think it was the last book, or maybe it was Memories. I think it was Memories of Ice. Actually, they talk about the Emperor that.
Yeah, I brought that. I brought that up in the second one.
Yeah, because I was like, "Who is this guy?" And you're like, "No, we've heard of him before."
Yeah.
And in theory, right, in some fantasy series, we could have just had that little snippet, and then we go to book 6, and now they're fighting this emperor. But now, when they are they're gonna have to deal with him at some point.
Yeah.
Roulette has so much depth that I'm immediately gonna care about this villain. In a way that I almost never do about villains just by seeing him. So I do think there will be payoff for some of these from some of the character building, and us learning about the Edor as a people. I think there's more of like subtle builds here, especially between the Edor and the Andy, and then the Leosin. That's one that just continues to be like, we're learning more about these people kind of thing.
So then I always say this, but this will be my true last question for you, right?
Okay, yeah.
I think I'll say as a statement on the question. I think Troll and Roulette are going to meet again.
Oh,
and I think that's part of this. I think that's part of the setup that like because like I can see that being really cool going from this scene with them in Throne Room to like what might happen when they meet again after many years, right? Because like House of Chains is like presumably like almost like 15 years in the future.
I can see it.
I feel like they have to meet again.
I think
Like,
they meet
I feel like
again,
they could be
and
really cool.
I actually think like I wasn't thinking about it before, but now that you say that, I think you're right, and I think Troll saves him. I think that's I don't think I think Roulade gets saved from the crippled god because Steven Erickson has taught us.
Yeah.
And you know what? Again, like I think after the first couple times, I was like, I'll take it every time because it's awesome. Is that like forgiveness and mercy and grace is how we're solving our problems here, and it's awesome. So like, I would love for like Troll to save Roulade, his brother, even after everything Roulade's done to him. Like, because even you reading that prologue again, it sounds like Roulade is almost like, oh, you hurt, like he like it almost seems like he's like almost a little performative kind of thing of like, oh, I have to do this. You're talking shit about me to our brothers and stuff. Like, you can't be doing that. I have to send a message kind of thing. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they see each other again.
Yeah, and I don't mean that like they see each other before Troll gets exiled, because obviously we know that. But
No,
like, I meant like after Troll was like with Onrak and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to laugh because when you were talking about Troll saving him, I just had this like image of like Troll and Roulade, and like Troll's trying to convince him, and then like Ikovia just like comes down and he's like, "Give me your pain."
It to me. Yep. That's just the conclusion to everything. Yeah. The crippled god Icovian shows back up. Icovian takes the pain from the crippled god, saves the world, but then Buke swoops in and flies Icovian off into the sunset.
Is the 10th book, the final conclusion is like they ultimately fail, and then Buke flies Bug in, and then Bug just like ground pounds the crippled god. And that's how it all ends.
Yeah. I mean, I think we should just stop the series. We basically we've just experienced the best possible ending, so it's only gonna be disappointment. All right, let's wrap it up. That was a fun one. That was the fastest we've wrapped up a book or done a part. We both crushed it because you had a reading goal, and I was just excited and yeah. So that was cool. I'm excited. We're halfway done. I don't know if you can see it. Well, actually, I guess it doesn't matter, but right there. You see that one? That's House of Chains. And that was a pretty big book. That's the next one, which is like 1.5 times the size of House of Chains.
Yeah, so on that note, the recommended reading order is Midnight Tides, Night of Knives, Bone Hunters. Are we wanting to read Night of Knives, or just want to go right into Bone Hunters?
I know most people were suggesting we do Night of Knives. Here's what I'll say. I'm okay either way. I am planning on, unless something horrendous happens in the next 5 books, reading everything and continuing doing this for everything. So if we're going to read everything anyways, I'm okay with splashing it in here. But I do hear enough people say, like, just read the 10. But I do think there's an element of that to people just trying to stop people from making a 20-book, a 10-book series into a 20-book series where it's like, well, just finish the 10 first because I just want you to get through that. So I'm okay with either. If we do Night of Knives, I mean, I guess people will figure that out whenever we post the next video. But yeah, we can figure that out. I'm open to it for sure. So yeah, we can figure that out off camera. Or...
Yeah, so I'll take a look at it. I'm kind of inclined. Like the two that stood out to me were Night of Knives and Return of the Crimson Guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be definitely like fine with splashing them. And plus, I don't think that they're not as long.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
I have them both, and I think they are both like they're little baby books. Well, not baby books, but baby books comparatively. Although the text might be small, I don't know.
And Night of Knives and Return of the Crimson Guard are both Ian Esselmont, right?
Yeah, so it'll be really interesting to see.
That's the other thing. I'm kind of curious about how are his stories in this universe.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Yeah, I mean, unless it seems like most people want it. I don't want it to kill our momentum. That would be my biggest fear is like just killing the momentum. So I think I'm open to it as long as like if for whatever reason we both hate Esselman's writing, I still want to go full force kind of into Bone Hunters and don't let it detract from the series. So yeah, it is. There's a part of me that's like, I don't know. I'm torn. Because part of me is
So-
like Erickson wrote this 10 as a 10. If he wanted a part of this story to be that, it would have been part of it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like we're taking like, when we're like reviewing it, it will be hard to talk about books without the context of a splashed in book. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, so one thing to be aware of is, as far as that goes, Night of Knives was written and had already been published by the time Bone Hunters was written and published.
So they like sat down together and basically were like, let's publish your book in between, like intentionally.
So I don't know about, I don't know about intentionally, but like, he's publishing a book within the Malazan universe. He has to have Erickson's blessing to do that. But yeah, Night of Knives came out a full year and some change before Bone Hunters. And then Return of the Crimson Guard came out the same year as Toll of the Hounds and 1 year after Reaper's Gale. So I don't know in terms of suggested reading order where that one falls. That one falls after Reaper's Gale and before Toll of the Hounds. So in terms of time of publication,
Reaper's Gale 7?
Yes.
So we'd be doing Night of Knives, Bone Hunters, Reaper's Gale,
Return
of the Crimson Guard.
Toll.
So
yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Now Night of Knives is less than half the length of Midnight Tides.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm not too concerned about.
It's a baby book.
Yeah, I think I have either both, or I have at least Night of Knives. I think.
Yeah. Whereas Return is the same length as Midnight Tides.
It's a big boy. Yeah. I think Midnight Tides was maybe the shortest book since Gardens.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know actually. Because on here, I guess it is like 900 pages. Yeah, it is 900 pages. So maybe not, or it's like about 930 pages in my book. I guess it just seems small compared to that. The Bone Hunters must be like 1,200 pages or something. That thing looks huge. And Midnight Tides.
I think you're right. I think Midnight Tides is the smallest of the House Gates.
Because I think House of Chains broke 1,000. Memories of Ice definitely broke 1,000. Dead House Gates felt fairly long as well, but
yeah, Dead House Gates and Midnight Tides are the same length.
Same length. Okay. All right. Well, we'll figure it out, and whatever the next video is, you will know. It's either going to be Night of Knives, or it's going to be the Bone Hunters.
we can talk about it, and then when we make a decision, we can always just put out a post on YouTube. Let people know.
True.
And then that'll be the same time too when we kind of say like when we expect our next video to be.
Yeah. Okay. So, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Let's sign off.
Well, again, thank you to everybody who's joined us for this long and for joining us for these books. Midnight Tides. We can close the final chapter on that one, which is awesome.
Yeah, Ian hated it.
So it still ranks higher than most of the books we've read. But yeah, and we'll be excited for you all to join us for the next one. So, like I said, it'll probably be about a month, but we'll let you know as soon as we decide on which book and when we'll be posting our first video. We kind of expect closer to September. But until then, we just really appreciate you guys, bearing through this with us. We just love seeing comments from people who've read the series, enjoy the series. We love knowing that you're out there, and it's just been an awesome blast reading the series and being able to talk about it with each other. So we also appreciate your forgiveness for all of our tangents. But we're about to take a long tangent, and then we'll see you in the next one.
Segue.
And to all of our veterans,
thank you. Good night.
Thank you and good night. This has been Hobby Vomit. My name is Ian, and this is...
I'm Matt.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Thank you for watching Hobby Vomit. If you like, subscribe and leave a comment.